Oh, so close to the start of the regular season. For some NHL teams, that's tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow afternoon in Seattle. The Oilers get going Wednesday night against the Winnipeg Jets. Raphael Lavoie claimed off waivers by the Vegas Golden Knights. The Oilers also announcing just a few minutes ago, Cam Wright, who was with the Condors last year, signs a one-year, two-way contract. And the Oilers call up Matt Savoy from Bakersfield. This is, well, really their top forward prospect right now. This is a move that I, unless I'm really missing something, is not because he's going to play. It's to have him on the active roster at the start of the season and include his salary in a potential capture for long-term injured reserve. If they ever have to go down there, you can accrue a little bit more towards having space for LTAR later on in the season. So that's a quick transaction there. From practice today, how about this? Jeff Skinner and Matthias Janmark were flipped on their lines. We'll talk about that as we move along. We're going to have Luke Gazdic on the show. He's going to be joining us every second week here on the Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne. Chris Cuthbert is on the show, Canadian broadcasting legend. He's coming up at about 5:20 today, and another one of our weekly guests, Jed Roberts, will check in as I'm
what
sure
a
you know.
show! Wow.
The Edmonton Elks will miss the playoffs yet again after losing yet another close game to the Saskatchewan Roughriders on Saturday. The Elks this season did not, well, I guess they still have two chances to possibly do it, but they have not won a game to this point that was decided by single digits. All their wins were by 10 or more, in a couple of cases way more than 10, but they just can't figure it out in close games, which continues to be a big problem. Hope you had a great weekend. It is 5 minutes after 3, along with Jay Milne. I'm Reid Wilkins. We are in the James H. Brown studio. James H. Brown, personal injury law firm, the heavy hitters of injury law. With over 200 years of experience, James H. Brown will get you the settlement you deserve. Check them out, jameshbrown.com today, and book your private consultation. As if you're watching on YouTube. And if you are watching on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. And also, if you haven't already, subscribe to the Edmonton Sports Talk channel, because that helps us keep building the momentum and letting new people know that we're out there. Or just call your friends and tell them to subscribe to Edmonton Sports Talk. So if you're watching on YouTube, you just saw Jay Milne get up and bring in this trophy, which was presented / given to us on Friday at South Fort Chevy.
Yeah, it was presented as, I guess, an SD of our own.
Okay.
Right? What was, I'm just trying to, the name of the fella is escaping me.
Brought it by.
Grumpy Cat.
Grumpy Cat brought it by.
Yes, Grumpy Cat.
He stopped, was driving to Fort Saskatchewan, stopped at Value Village, and got us this trophy, which we will now display today and whenever we remember.
Oh, it's going to happen every day.
On the set for our show in the James H. Brown studio. Incredible
And I just want to say thank you to everybody that's saying happy birthday. I appreciate it.
Yes.
I am not the type of person that'll say, oh, no, it's your birthday.
Yeah,
it happens once a year. I don't mind. I love it. It's a great day. It's been a great day thus far. My wife and I are having a date tonight.
Excellent.
In between basketball practice, drop off and pick up. But hey, when you've been married for 16 years, you take what you can get, and the children are keeping us busy. So I'm really looking forward to that. And yeah, it's a great weekend, great day. No, I did not sell a car, Rip City Step. This is just an award for. We'll have to call it the Reid Wilkins Achievement Award or something. Or
yeah, well, if you've achieved being me, you deserve a reward for that, I guess. Just trying to function in society. Yeah, it is your birthday. Dustin told me this morning when we had a brief phone chat, and I said, should I say something? And he said he's probably okay with it.
Yeah.
But I know with birthdays,
there are people that would rather not.
And do you want it to be public? And yeah, some people would rather not. And some people, for me, it's someone says happy birthday and remembers. I always say that's nice, but I wouldn't like it if there was ever a big deal like balloons or something.
Oh,
that made a spectacle of it. So I didn't even know if you would want it mentioned on air, but you're comfortable, but you don't need there. I do have one of my limericks later that somewhat alludes to your birthday, but it gets into some other stuff. But happy birthday. It's been an honor knowing you for a very short period of your life.
You keep saying that we have only known each other.
We haven't known each other very long.
I know, but we've known each other more than maybe you are giving credit for. Like, we've known each other for at least 12 years. No, sorry. I've known you through the radio.
That's not knowing somebody.
Well, fine. You don't know me that long, but I know you quite a while.
Okay, but that's an interesting debate. Like, hearing somebody on the radio or television or through some form of media, like, I would never say I know Brad Pitt.
I know.
I would not say, okay, Letterman. I was a big fan of his. Not the stuff with the interns. I wouldn't approve of that. But I wouldn't say, if I met David Letterman, I wouldn't say, oh, I know you. I might say, I know this aspect of your life, of how you presented yourself as a talk show host, and I enjoyed that. But no, in terms of you and me actually knowing, we've only worked together on a daily basis for about 6 weeks, which is really cool for me when people say you and Glue Guy have a great rapport and chemistry, because really we have not had a lot of time to build that. So
haven't even scratched the surface.
We're just so naturally charismatic with each other.
Bubbly.
That it appears that way. But it is your birthday, but you also are nursing an injury. Can we give the quick, I know you wouldn't want a lot of attention for this. Can you give the quick Cole's notes on this?
Yeah. So I had my entire family over yesterday we do family supper every 2 weeks, which I think I've mentioned on here before. So it was my turn to host. So I smoked 2 pork shoulders and we did pulled pork and it was great. My wife made a double-decker chocolate cake.
Oh.
And I was in charge of making the icing, which I did. And after I cleaned out the mixing bowl, which, a mixing bowl with that thick glass, I set it down on the countertop. And I think it was too warm after I'd washed it, and it just exploded.
Oh, no.
So called everybody, called my wife in because, you don't really want to move too much after glass has been shattered. So got that all cleaned up, and we threw it in the garbage. Now, later in the afternoon, just as people were arriving, I went to throw something in the garbage. And when the garbage is full, but it's probably full because it's not pushed down all the way, or at least that's what I thought. So I pressed my hand down, and lo and behold, here it found the edge of that broken bowl, and I cut my hand open pretty good. So it's been I've been nursing it, but since I've came in today, I decided to shed the covering I had on it, and I think it's actually the right decision.
Right.
It seems to be really coming together, congealing.
Right.
Because it was like the kind of cut that you can talk to yourself with if you move your hand. The skin flat. So yeah. So no, I it happened. It was okay.
He was wearing one of those oven mitt type things that the base stealers wear in the majors.
Yeah, right.
That's what he was doing.
Those are terrible.
In case he has to steal second as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
but my daughters heard me. They said that I said a bad word.
Yeah.
I don't remember saying a bad word.
Oh, really? You probably did.
Very well could have.
You can always participate in the show besides being a consumer of the show, either through YouTube, through our website, edmontonsportstalk.com, through the iHeartRadio app, through the TuneIn app, or if you're consuming this later on a podcast. And again, please pass it on to like-minded people who you think might enjoy the program. You can participate at the EST inbox, texting 780-218-9999, and you can email Reid at edmontonsportstalk.com. Jump into the nasty chat on YouTube. We will have an off-topic topic and a top 3 that I'm certain people will want to participate in.
Well, and I will say this. Let's get to 100 likes today.
Yes.
For my birthday present.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
From the Nasties.
Can I like ourselves?
Yes, I do every day.
Oh, good.
And Mom at home, this is your reminder to like our show as well.
It's important to like yourself, everybody.
Hey, this is interesting. So I had my family over. My mom gives me a birthday card, and inside of it is a little card, which I'm going to show you right here, which you can see. Read. I showed you, but I didn't read it.
I'm not reading it.
My mom has written in limericks for the show, which I will be revealing during the limerick segment. Zach, did we find any harp music or anything like that? Okay, we'll come up. We'll
come
get
up
on
with that. Let's just do the one video, and we'll save the other for later, because a couple things from the weekend. I mean, you probably heard about this, but Jay, and me too. But this first one, if we're watching Sunday Night Football, thank God we don't live in the Eastern time zone. But this hit late in the game last night. Jay texted me seconds after it happened. This is a Landon Roberts of the Steelers making a play at the goal line. Let's roll it, Zach.
Lipke leads down to the football. Prescott back on it.
can talk over it. Do you have that? Does the other angle show it that was coming up?
It was the most incredible play I've seen from a Pittsburgh Steeler or any football player, really, since Troy Polamalu would fly over the line and bust up a play. And the beauty of this one is that Troy Polamalu would do that in a sense where he'd jump over and get the quarterback.
Right.
This linebacker, look at him dive to the left here and meet this running back in the hole. And if Pittsburgh recovers that, it's game.
Yes.
Like it just that is the beauty of sport, isn't it? Like just the oohs and ahs and you heard the crowd gasp when that happened.
How hard is that to do? I mean,
It's
played.
impossible.
Did you ever try it as when you were a safety?
No, like you jump into a pile, but you never with that accuracy.
Right.
Now, I will say this. It's not he did not go into that play thinking, hey, I'm going to jump this pile and my head's going to hit the ball and it's going to pop loose. He was just trying to stop this play.
Right.
Now, the way that it all unfolded, it was beautiful. I texted you immediately and I said, did you see that play? I didn't even have to say. And he, in Reid's beautiful simplicity / brevity, said, yes.
Oh, I had seen it.
It was incredible. It was incredible. Also, shout out to Miss Rip City Step. It's her birthday as well.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Wow.
Happy birthday to all birthday celebrators around the world.
He said, proving the best people are born today, says Rip City
What day
Step.
is it today? October 7th?
October 7th.
October 7th. All right. Yeah, well, I hope you're having a great birthday. Hopefully it's a good show. Luke Gazdic is going to be on in about 5 or 6 minutes. We're going to move quickly here to our off-topic topic. For William Huff, since 1952, William Huff has provided industry-leading graphics with design, print, and install, all in-house for thousands of valued clients. Their unparalleled customer service, combined with decades of industry expertise and a desire to make every job the very best it can be, is what they call the William Huff Advantage. Visit their website at williamhuff.com or give them a shout, 780-454-4536. All right, here it is, everybody. And I think people are going to participate in this because I do believe it's one of these topics where the first instinct of someone who's going to respond is either going to be, I'm terrible at this, so I'm going to offer my contribution but ask for help, or it's going to be one of those topics where somebody will say, by the way, everybody, I've perfected it, so I'm doing it this way, and maybe you should try it too. Based on something I did briefly this weekend and my neighbor did a lot of. Because I don't have a yard. I have, as you saw, a driveway ramp that needs to be cleared of snow and or leaves. There's a little bit of grass on my townhouse complex around the side, and my neighbor who's on the end raked up a bunch of leaves. So here's the off-topic topic, everybody. Your system for raking and disposing of leaves. Tell us about your yard size.
Classic.
How you do it, how often. And for some people, it might just be like, just leave them and let them mold and blow away in the spring.
There are some that think that, although I think that I don't know. It's from what I understand, the leaves that sit on like that are just asking, mice and other rodents to, to take
get
over.
a mice city.
Yeah, you don't want that. Okay, well, what did you do? How did you? How do you rake cement?
I just raked off some, just with a regular thing, just with a leaf rake.
Yeah,
like the previous owner of my house left it behind.
Like the soft plastic tips.
The bouncy things.
Yeah.
Rake them into piles and I shovel them into bags. And then there's a community garden by where I live, and you can use them there. And I think they might use them for compost or something.
Yeah,
at some point.
They probably turn it into the garden,
right?
To add some.
Yeah, I don't know if they do it in the fall or in the spring. So yeah, I'll take them. Well, it's in the same block. I'm not going far. I'll go dump them in a bin.
Like, how many bags are we talking here?
I got 3 bags on Saturday.
Safeway bags?
No, the big blue bags. Big blue bags.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a lot of leaves.
Yeah, well, there's trees right above where I live. So.
I suppose. Wow. Yeah.
Well, there's obviously not going to be trees below where I live. That would be weird. All right.
Hashtag farm report. I got news for you. I mulch everything. If it's on my lawn, I mulch it.
We can see that Luke Gazdic is already standing by. He will make his debut appearance on the Reid Wilkins Show. But first, the Coob Sports Update.
The Oilers have made some moves, recalling Matt Savoy from Bakersfield while signing Cameron Wright to a one-year, two-way deal, just over $950,000. Raphael Lavoie has been claimed by the Golden Knights off waivers, and last year Lavoie recorded 50 points in 66 games for the Condors. Jesper Wallstedt signs a two-year deal worth $4.4 million with the Minnesota Wild. Last year, Wallstedt suited up for 45 games in the AHL and 3 games in the big club last season. For baseball, it's Game 2 of the Division Series with the Tigers facing the Guardians and the Royals meeting the Yankees in New York. In the NFL, Texans' Nico Collins has suffered a hamstring injury and is listed as week-to-week. Collins came off the field midway through yesterday's game and did not return. Monday Night Football action has the Chiefs and the Saints, where Lieutenant Eric will be hanging out at the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge for 6:15 kickoff. Just after the break, Luke Gazdic joins the Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne. I'm Zachary Kubish, and you're up to date.
Don't feel like working? Join the Hangout. You never know what you might hear. Weekday mornings 9 to 11 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Come get your game on at The Ranch. The Ranch lets it all hang out with a championship caliber design, premier conditions, and above all, a fun laid-back experience. Get top-notch service and unmatched value every time you play at The Ranch. Think you have what it takes to go low? The best value for your golfing buck is always The Ranch. The Ranch Golf and Country Club. 10, 50, 100, and 200 round packs on sale. TheRanchGolf.com.
Hi there. If you're like me, you like to picture yourself in luxury, even though there's absolutely no way you could afford it. And if you can, well, even better. Thankfully, I picture myself in something that is luxury, but still absolutely affordable, like the all-new Mazda CX-90 from Park Mazda. With the new luxury features like facial recognition settings and quilted detail Napa leather seating, I can pretend to be comfortable with all of my proper settings activated without even touching a button, thanks to Mitch Lewicki and the great staff at Park Mazda. I like to picture Mitch Lewicki with like a giant eagle's wings and singing lead vocals for Leonard Skinner with like an angel band. And I'm in the crowd hammered drunk.
Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park off Y Road, parkmazda.ca.
At Mind 360, we invite you to embark on your mental health journey in a safe and comfortable space. Conveniently located in St. Albert, Mind 360 has a diverse team of experienced clinicians that offer a broad range of tailored services for children, adults, and families. Furthermore, we are very proud to serve our military, veterans, and first responders. If you're looking for counseling, treatment, or assessment, understand that you are not alone. Contact Mind 360 at mind360.ca to book an appointment today.
Oh, you wonderful nasties. How you doing? Hope you had a great weekend. Monday nighter tonight, Saints and Chefs. Oilers get going on Wednesday, home game against the Winnipeg Jets. We're going to do our season predictions tomorrow on the Reid Wilkins Show, guaranteed to be correct. And every second week on this program, we'll be joined by a gentleman I have pleased to gotten to know as a broadcaster over the last couple of years. I sort of knew him as a player, but you know that media-player relationship, you can't really sort of bond. But I'm glad that I've gotten to know this guy even better, and I'm glad he is joining the Reid Wilkins Show. It is former Edmonton Oiler, now a broadcaster with Sportsnet, Luke Gazdic, checking in. Luke, it's Reid and Jay. How are you doing?
Good, Reid. What an intro. It's good to be here, man. Good to see you guys. It's been too long.
Well, thanks for joining the show. I know you were on with me for the last couple of years on another station, so thank you for jumping over here to be on my show again. I'm really happy you made that decision. How was your summer? You do anything super exciting or like accomplish anything? What give listeners an insight into Luke's summer?
Oh man, honestly, I laid pretty low here back in Toronto. I'm a big Blue Jays baseball fan. Didn't have the greatest season here, obviously, but made it out to a couple games at the Dome and just hung out like a regular kid. I went to Europe at the end of the summer to kind of get away from here for a bit, and did a bunch of charity and alumni stuff that I love to do throughout the summer. I was in Edmonton once in August and, traveling around doing alumni stuff. So it was nice for a little bit, but I'm excited to get hockey going here. I'm amped up and ready to go.
Well, after a preseason in which, okay, the Oilers won 3 out of 8. They only won one game in regulation. I described it on Twitter after Friday as kind of a mundane preseason. But then again, we know most of the team is back that went to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. How did you observe this preseason? Do you read anything into it, or are you more kind of like, hey, come on, this is a veteran team? They know what's there. They know what they need to do. How do you look at it?
Well, a little more fireworks out east here with Montreal and Toronto and Ottawa. There wasn't too much with the Oil. Listen, I went through 10 professional NHL camps. I'm trying to count now. I think I only went to 9 because back in the day in Dallas, you had to make the main camp roster. Like it was no joke. Preseason's a bit of a grind, but the results don't truly matter. It's nice if you're winning, like the Flames put a little string together, but to be honest, it's for your vets to get back to the city, get going, try to find some line chemistry. It's getting on the ice, practicing every day, getting these guys back into a normal routine, getting them to feel contact, I think is a huge thing. Whether it's hitting, fighting, it's the first physical contact that you'll get back in these exhibition games. And listen, like at the end of the day, it took me a long time to figure this out, but the roster is pretty much written on the whiteboard on day one, right? Like there are 2 to 3 guys fighting for spots on every team. Some teams differ, but for the Oilers here, everything's pretty much set. So there's a couple spots up for grabs, but it's to get your vets going. And I think they accomplished that in staying healthy.
Okay. You said something that you've never told me before. About that, did Dallas run their training camp differently? Did the Stars do something different in terms of how players were slotted or practicing together during camp? What did you mean by saying that with the Stars you have to make the main camp?
So when I got drafted in 2007 to Dallas, there was a prospect tournament in Traverse City, Michigan, much like the one they have in Penticton. It's an 8-team tournament that's there in August every year and early September, sorry. And you had to make Dallas's main camp roster. They didn't. It's not like today I saw it here in Toronto. I'm sure Edmonton was a similar way where everybody comes to camp. If you've been drafted, if you're a PTO, if you're a special invite, whatever it is, we're looking at camps that have upwards of 70 or 80 guys. So back in the day in 2007 with Dallas, there was like a 42-man roster for training camp, for main camp. And they brought everyone in there, some bubble players, some bubble spots. But me as a young guy, I was, freshly drafted. I didn't get to go to main camp until I finished junior hockey, until I was 19 years old. So especially since I hadn't been signed. But back in the day, like you had to battle and grind to even make it to main camp, which is something that, you don't see nowadays, right? Everyone gets their shot.
Right. Okay. Luke Gazdic from Sportsnet joining us. SD winning Luke Gazdic, the way, guest of the year. So congratulations to finally get to say that in person to you. It was a big award. I know you were celebrated excessively that night. The big talk of the town here in Edmonton has obviously, at least last week anyways, with the documentary Face Off coming out that documented several NHL teams last year. And whether you've seen it or not, surely you've seen the Connor McDavid locker room, call it whatever you want, explosion during the Stanley Cup playoffs. What did you think of that clip and the passion that was shown by McDavid?
It's so great you guys are asking this. So I'm in the midst of watching it right now. I just finished, before I got on here, 20 minutes ago, I finished episode 5 where he yelled at the end of the episode. Nice. So I actually haven't seen the last one yet. I mean, I think we know how it ends, but I think the series has been outstanding just from a general sense for me. It's just been an outstanding look, behind the curtain. I think it's the most access. HBO 24/7 was similar, but the most access, I think, in terms of, family and dressing room and training stuff that the NHL's given maybe ever. So it's very cool for me as a former player. It kind of puts me back in the room and I'm seeing guys converse with each other. It's very cool. I forget how well-spoken and humble all these guys are. It's just like so refreshing to see some of the interviews. But to see Connor yell, it's first time I've seen him yell, to be honest. I didn't hear too much of that when he was younger. And even, I don't know, even in knowing him now, you don't see that side of players too much, but he nails it, right? Like, it's the finals. And man, like, I got chills when he was saying dig in. Like, I looked at Dylan Holloway sitting in the corner. I looked at Himes, and you can always see guys always have their eyes on a couple people in a dressing room. Like, every team I played in, when you're in there and stuff's not going right, you look your eyes up, and there's about 3 or 4 guys in the room that I would always have my eyes on, because you're following their lead, right? And so it's pretty cool to watch the best player in the world show probably the most raw emotion he's ever shown. And they go on to win the next 3. Obviously couldn't get the job done, but they go on to win the next 3 after that. I think says a lot.
Well, and I get the sense, from your answer there, but I just wanted to ask you, as a former player, having the cameras in the locker room, or, whether it was a massive NHL documentary or just a documentary being done by the team, what were your thoughts on having that access in the locker room? Was it something that the guys were excited about, or for the most part, were they like, get these cameras out of here?
Guys, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I had played 4 years in the minors in Austin, Texas, where we didn't have a camera. Like, after games, it was just a couple beat reporters and like guys writing stuff on notepads. I get picked up by Edmonton, and I had 30 cameras in front of my face at the first practice. We got oil change being filmed. We got, hockey night in Canada on Saturdays with crews in the room. It was certainly, an adjustment for me, and everybody's different, right? Like, I think there's guys that are a lot more private. Like, you can see in that doc towards the end, like, they start yelling to get the cameras out of there. Like, there's certain times and places that guys don't like it. But to be honest, man, like, I always knew, like, I'm going to be, old and wrinkly someday. And like, I'm going to be wishing I was 24 again in an NHL locker room. Right. So I ate it up, man. I wasn't saying, I'm not saying I was, trying to be the star of the show. I didn't even get to be in Oil Change. I always wanted like a feature, like an episode where they were in the hotel and I'm, telling my backstory. But no, I always soaked it up, man. I always thought it was cool that, we're walking into the arena and there's the hockey night camera, like, following you in with your suit on. So everybody's different. I would say the older guys had enough of it by about that time in their careers. But me, as a fresh young rookie, loved every minute.
I'm just wondering, because episode 5, I haven't watched episode 6 yet. I just watched episode 5, the first one on the Cup final, right? And it starts with the Oilers dressing room after Game 7.
Yes.
And it's silent, and you can hear the cup being handed out, and McDavid starts crying. Yet some of those guys. I know it's been a while since you played, but I mean, you've told me stories about living with McDavid and going to West Edmund Mall with him, and certainly, Nuge. Was it at all uncomfortable to see people you loved being shown like that? Like, was there still a line for you where you wished it hadn't been that raw? Do you know what I mean?
That's a great question, man. And you know what? I was thinking that too, because in that scene when Connor starts crying, first of all, you rarely see guys, especially leaders, veteran guys, cry. Like, I've seen it in locker rooms after we lose playoff series, but you rarely see it. So to see that type of rare, raw emotion, where I really saw it was when Nuge looked over at him, and you could see Nuge look behind him at Hyman, who was on the other side, and was kind of like, we got to do something here. And he kind of put his arm on him, and it was just super emotional, man. And no, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it's a great look inside it. Because one thing I try to do on the air, guys, especially when I'm on TV, is like, we sit here, and I understand, like, guys make a lot of money playing in the NHL, but sometimes we sit here and I turn on TVs and listen to media just ripping these guys apart. And you can see these guys are human beings, man. Like, they have the same people. They put on their shoes the same way. And I think they all have personalities, and they're all human beings. So to see Nuge kind of, get moved a little bit from Connor crying was, for me, I was pretty emotional there too, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't agree more. I think the insight that it gives to the humanity, and these are real people. Sure. I know that they're placed in a higher standing, but they are real people with real feelings, and it was tough. I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking and talking about it. But The question, the big question of the day, Luke, is were you aware? Or did you ever try and go out for, say you had an off night on a road trip and you went out to the pub to get some beer and maybe some French fries, and was there ever any ketchup involved with Connor McDavid's order? Or was that strictly hands off? Like, tell us more about this.
That was a shocker for me too, the ketchup thing. I was reading about it and then I saw the scene, and I just don't remember anything like that when we were young. First of all, I don't think we ate a lot of ketchup, but like, I don't remember it being a thing at all. I definitely, like me and Halsey crushed Halsey. I think ketchup's his favorite condiment, I think. So we definitely had a couple of bottles in the fridge. Maybe he was just too young and scared to tell us that he didn't like it. But I don't remember any fear of Heinz tomato ketchup when he was 18.
Are there any foods that frighten you or that you find particularly disgusting?
You know what? The one thing for me always has been onions. I hate onions. I don't hate anything in life, but a raw onion, like
hang on though.
Just get it out of here.
Wait. Let's say you saute that white onion and you put it on a fresh Italian pizza or something,
Yeah, put it in a sauce, put it on a pizza. I'm talking about the raw red or white onions.
That's fair.
I hate.
You see a nice Greek salad and someone's just chomping on huge circles of red onion and his breath smells disgusting. Get out of here with the onions.
Yeah, I can't do that. I can't do like the crunchy caramelized onions I can do. And if they're diced up in salsa, but I don't like onions on pizza or big ones in sauces, or I don't know, maybe it's a texture thing as well. Okay, I'm glad we know that, Luke. We have something in common, because obviously our athletic ability has nothing in common. Okay, I'll just throw one at you here about I don't think it's a massive story, but we'll see. At practice today, Janmark was with Arvidsson and Draisaitl. Jeff Skinner was with Henrique and Brown. That was a flip. Knobloch was asked about it. He didn't make it sound like anybody was being punished or it was a comment on anybody's play. He just said, I want to look at different options so we have them during the season. Do you believe that? Or is every little thing like that a message to a player?
Everything is like subliminal messaging, right? And I always revert back to personal experience. So when I do this, me putting myself in that position, I was in a similar way in that every time I walked in, I had to take a guess at where my name was on the board. Was like, okay, am I playing? Am I in? Am I out? Is this just for practice? Like, did I play like crap the night before? Like all that stuff goes in your mind. But if there's a specific change like that in a lineup, that's pretty calculated in my mind. Jeff's a really good player. He's going to find his footing. I don't think he's had the strongest preseason. I think that's fair to say. He probably knows that. I know they're probably looking for some chemistry. I don't know what he's doing just to switch it up. I expect them to go back to the way it was. Maybe it's just a short message that he wants to send, like, hey, your number is not sharpied in on the second line here. Like, let's get going. But I do feel like coaches are more calculated than they are, playing dumb like that after in an interview saying this is nothing.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Well, again, Luke, great that you're going to be on the show. So you do Nielsen's show every second week, this show every second week, so people can get you on Edmonton Sports Talk, which is good at different times of day, depending on their work and or sleep 100%. Schedule. How early did you go on with Dustin? Are you going like 6 a.m. Mountain or not quite that early?
No, so I think 7 a.m. Mountain, but I heard you talking about the Eastern time zone. That NFL game was a nightmare for me last night, but I have to get used to Friday night. I just not had to stay up, but it was in Vancouver, obviously, so I got to get used to these 10 p.m. starts now. So I got to do something different with the days here, but it's good. We start back up on TV too. I'm doing pretty much the U.S. national opening night on Tuesday. We got 2 games, and then Wednesday, Toronto, Montreal, and then you'll see me in intermissions for Edmonton, Winnipeg. So we'll be on for the open a little bit, and then I'll be shooting it around with Colby Armstrong and David Amber and the fellas there on TV for night one. So
okay. Awesome. Good to see you, Luke. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Luke Gazdic. Love talking to him. Always has good insight. I love, too, that he's not shy about talking about stuff that he felt as a player and relate. Like, he said, I would walk into a dressing room. Where am I going to be? What line am I even going to play tomorrow or tonight or whatever? He has some good insight. I mean, he was not obviously a star player, as he talked about. Went to camp, had to earn spots. But great addition to this show. He's doing well on Sportsnet.
Yeah, he's a beauty, and I really appreciated his insight on the cameras and all that. As a player of his career, not like Connor McDavid or not always in the limelight, you're kind of, I guess, reminded of these kids that when you're young and you're dreaming of going to play in the NHL, you're dreaming of those Hockey Night in Canada cameras and the Hockey Night in Canada towel and getting on screen like that. So that was really interesting to hear that. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that would really like this camera time.
I loved how he said that. It's like, well, you could. Here's the thing, Oilers. You could have this documentary made about you, or you could be someone who's not in the NHL. Maybe just appreciate that. That was interesting. And hey, not maybe. We don't know. I mean, there might be some Oilers players who hated that documentary. But that's Luke's perspective, which I thought he told. I've referenced this before, but he told me a great story. So one of the years the Oilers practiced at West Edmonton Mall, and then Luke was on my show, and I said, "You got any mall stories?" So when he lived with McDavid and Hall, when McDavid was a rookie, one day McDavid said, "Let's go to West Ed," and Gazdic was like, "Really?
Oh,
God, you want to go to West Edmonton Mall?" And McDavid was like, "Yeah, let's go. I got to pick up some stuff." So Luke's like, "Okay." And they were there for 10 minutes, and McDavid was like, "Yeah, we got to go." Yeah. It's just, and I don't think fans were being unruly, but he's there. He's being full around. You think about that from a time commitment. So let's say there's 100 fans that want to see Connor McDavid, and they're going to be polite. They're only going to take 30 seconds of his time.
Yeah.
Well, then you're up to almost an hour where the guy can't shop because he's signing autographs. But anyway, I don't think Connor ever went back to the mall except to practice, or maybe he sneaks in and shops in the secret mall underground.
We could talk about that for just try to putting yourself in his shoes and how trivial it would be just to go get.
Yeah. Well,
milk.
we saw the beer buying video after they beat Dallas, right? So, okay. 780-218-9999. We'll get to that Knobloch comment about the line switching. That's coming up. We're going to dive into my limericks and apparently some limericks from Jay's mom.
Pearl.
From Pearl?
Yeah. Pearl
awesome.
Milne.
All
Pearl
right.
Milne Originals.
That's incredible.
Right
but
here.
First, Zach Kubish. Sports Update.
The Oilers have recalled Matt Savoie from Bakersfield while signing Cameron Wright of the Condors to a one-year deal worth just over $950,000. The Vegas Golden Knights have claimed Raphael Lavoie off waivers, and last year Lavoie potted 50 points in 66 games on the Condors. Other claims saw Zach Aston Reese to Columbus and James Reimer to Anaheim. The Washington Capitals have signed Jakub Vrana from his PTO to a one-year deal worth $750,000, and he'll make the team's starting roster. In Minnesota, Jesper Wallstedt signs a two-year extension worth $4.4 million total. Wallstedt spent most of last year in the AHL, playing just 3 games for the big club. Texans wide receiver Nico Collins' injury status has changed from day-to-day to week-to-week. Collins suffered a hamstring injury midway through yesterday's game and did not return. Chiefs Saints close out Week 5 of the NFL, where you can join Lieutenant Eric at the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge for kickoff just after 6. MLB playoffs have the Tigers and the Guardians scoreless in the 6th, while the Royals visit the Yankees later tonight. Right after the break, the Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne continues. I'm Zachary Kubish, and you're up to date.
Get to know the winners, props, plays, parlays, and more with Nielsen and Hustler. Weekday mornings at 11 on The Lock Shop. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Food Sausages makes their meat with nothing. Food Sausages makes their meat with nothing but the best local ingredients. From chicken, beef, and pork, their gluten-free sausages are packed with flavor. Every single bite. Get a 10% discount when mentioning Edmonton Sports Talk in-store or use the code EST when shopping online at foodsausages.ca. Plus, you get free delivery on orders of $100 or more. Find them at 6736 99th Street. Food Sausages. You can't beat our meat.
Hey Edmonton, ready to take advantage of lower rates and better pricing? South Fort Chevrolet in Fort Saskatchewan has you covered. From rugged trucks to sleek SUVs. And with over 40 years in business, you can trust that you're getting the best deal on your new ride. As the proud title sponsor of the Nielsen Show, EST listeners can drive a little to save a lot with South Fort Chevrolet's transparent pricing and down-to-earth sales team. Visit us today in Fort Saskatchewan or online at southfortchev.com.
Since 1952, William Huff has been the heartbeat of Edmonton's advertising world. From humble beginnings to a citywide powerhouse, we've been the go-to for signage from print to design and installation. Partnering with Edmonton's top sports franchises and major events, we've helped shape the city's global reputation. Our secret? Unmatched customer service, decades of experience, and a passion for excellence we call the William Huff Advantage. Visit us online at williamhuff.com.
All right, we're here. He's Jay Milne. I'm Reid Wilkins. It's Jay's birthday. Happy birthday. Zach Kubish is here as well. We had a great time hit the give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Thank you, Jay, for the visuals. We had a great time at South Fort Chevy on Friday. We're back in studio today and getting you ready for the Oilers season opener, home opener on Wednesday. Stu McDonald, OEG president, scheduled to join us tomorrow. Chris Cuthbert and Jed Roberts still coming up today. You just heard from Luke Gazdic. All right, before we get to Chris Knobloch talking about the line switching today, and by the way, also in the nasty chat and texting in, Lavoie was claimed, Raphael Lavoie. Well, we'll talk about this in a couple minutes when we do the Oil Understood, because I think it's significant. Well, okay, I'll save it. I'll save it for a couple minutes. I did do a limerick about it.
Okay.
Draisaitl skates with Janmark, not Skinner. Does the coach not think Jeff is a winner? He says just tinkering. Don't do too much thinkering. While Lavoie goes to the city of the sinner.
Wow.
Lavoie claimed by Las Vegas.
That was
by Vegas.
That
Sorry.
Was pretty good.
You like that one?
I like how you took thinking or combined two words there to make it work.
Thinkering. It's going to be a word from now on. All right.
I like it.
Got an Elks one here. Gittins made the catch and started to rumble, but alas, a Saskatchewan poke caused a fumble. No playoffs again. The Elks need men who will make them winners and no longer bumble.
Woo. Very good.
Thank you, Jay. You can say if they suck.
I will never say
making them up.
Suck.
I never thought I'd have a job in which I'm writing 3 limericks a day.
Meet your quota, Reid.
By the way, we need a sponsor for this segment.
Yeah.
Business at EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Some sort of Irish pub.
That would be fitting, wouldn't it?
That would be good.
We're still looking for a harp player to come in and play while I'm doing these as well. The birthday boy has a slice on his palm. Was he injured shaking a pom-pom? Or was it a knife that caused such strife? And why is he treating it with lip balm?
Oh, those are great. Those are really good. I've been told lip balm works.
Well, I had all weekend to think of them. I actually just wrote them in the last 40 minutes before the show.
Yeah, right. Should we dive into my mother's limericks?
Yes, this is amazing. I'm honored that she did this.
Reid and Jay are quite the team. Pretty steady, not extreme. Enjoy the chatter. Subject does not matter. They call it sports, but that's a dream. Yeah.
That's pretty good. Is it from your mom?
These are from my mom.
When did she give you these?
Last night. In my birthday card.
In your birthday card.
Yeah.
When do you think she wrote them?
Well, she dated it. October 2024. So,
but you don't know if she was working on them all week or just over the weekend.
No, she's pretty spry with stuff like this.
Okay.
So I'd imagine she's much like you, where she just came up with them. Edmonton Sports Talk is the best. Listen a while, take a rest. The guys that we love are a cut above. They're entertaining, the best in the West.
Oh, pretty good.
Pretty good. I gotta say those are really good. I'll save the other one for later because
is it a little racy?
No, I don't think it's racy.
Does she rhyme boob and coob?
No. That would have blown my socks.
I'm gonna do that now. I gotta find a way to rhyme that.
That would be good. Reid, we do have a lot of people chiming in about their raking procedures.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten about that off topic. 34 minutes later, I was like, what's on the show today? What have we done?
The Zach says, I have a half acre and all we do is take the ride-on lawnmower and mulch it on the lawn and it composts that way.
Well, that's pretty cool.
That's what I do too. They
just get chopped up in the mower.
Just beat the you-know-what out of them. Caster, 1990, says he's raking right now. He's taking a break as his back is sore. If I don't rake, winter mold occurs and I sneeze like crazy in the spring.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
True. Tube socks. I have a normal system for leaves with a rake. My neighbor across the street rakes hers under the cover of darkness and stuffs them all down the storm drain.
Is that a good idea?
I don't think so. I don't think that's what storm drains
Well, yeah,
are
and
for.
if she's doing it at night, that would imply that you think it's not a great idea.
Something devious happening. And Big Uke, there may or may not have been on occasion, and he puts in parentheses, not sure if statute of limitation is up, that we loaded all of the leaves from our lake lot onto a flat deck trailer and then drove down a nearby rural road. Trailer came back empty. I have heard of people doing that. Throwing them in the back of a pickup truck and then just driving down the white mud.
And just letting them distribute.
Tailgate down. See you later, leaves.
You're not my problem anymore.
Somebody else's problem.
Run, boy. You're free now.
I wonder if a police officer saw you doing that, if they would pull you over.
Well, could that be a little
littering.
dangerous if someone's behind you and gets a big... Yeah. I guess they wouldn't clump up on a windshield.
But could that be defined as littering? I mean, it's organic.
Yeah.
It's like if you throw... Would you ever throw a banana peel out the window on on number 2 going down the highway? You wouldn't?
No.
What about an apple core?
No.
Really?
No. I'd wait until I was at a spot to put it in a proper refuse container.
I know, but I believe that some birdie is going to find that or some animal. And I mean, the banana peel, I guess, would be an issue if somebody slipped out on it. I would throw an apple core. Like an apple core, you can get into the ditch at least. A bird would eat that.
Yeah, or a raccoon.
Maybe I've been littering all these years and I've just implicated myself.
I'd prefer not to throw things out of my vehicle, I guess.
Yeah, I obviously, but there's some things I think that you can, like an orange peel or...
But I wouldn't throw a bag of leaves out my window.
I'm not saying like downtown on Jasper Ave, I'll just throw I mean like on a highway, on a road trip.
I guess.
Maybe. I guess you're just better than me, Reid.
Well, I'm just different. That's all.
Let's hammer that thumbs up, okay, folks? Let's hammer that thumbs up.
Better or worse.
If you've thrown a banana peel out your car on the highway or an apple core. Uh-oh, the thumbs are going down, Reid. No, just kidding.
People are thumbs down. All right. Okay. Well, keep those coming. The off-topic topic is your procedure for raking and disposing of leaves. So we got some good ones already. It's time to transition to the oil understood for GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to injectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts. Proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. Now a proud partner of Edmonton Sports Talk and the Reid Wilkins Show. GCL Diesel. Diesel. Understood. Okay. So the Oilers practices today, and again, this latest transaction you may have heard about, and we mentioned off the top of the show, signing Cam Wright and recalling Matt Savoy from Bakersfield. This is to get as close to the cap as possible. So if they need to use long-term injured reserve, they maximize how much of it you can use. Because if you put a $5 million player on long-term injured reserve, and you're $3 million under the cap, you're not maximizing what you can use. So the closer, usually teams won't go on LTIR till they're almost at the cap or right at it. So that's what's going on there. Again, Lavoie claimed by Vegas. We'll talk about that in a second. At practice today, I of note, and I'm sure there'll be varying opinions to how much it's worth noting, but the second line was Draisaitl, Arvidsson, and Janmark, and the third line was Henrique, Brown, and Jeff Skinner. So Skinner and Janmark were reversed. Here's what head coach Chris Knobloch had to say.
Just having options. We're not set on any of the lines right now, and Skinner might be back tomorrow for practice, but we just know that we need some flexibility. And with Skinner, if he does play with Rico, just gives a more balanced scoring. Definitely on the three lines can score, and maybe not so much of a shutdown third line, but we need some flexibility.
All right. Now, Luke said there's always some sort of messaging to players, or players will read into it. I mean, I think most forwards, most human beings, I mean, if you took a guy off a over 70 floor hockey team, he'd prefer to be on a line with Draisaitl than most anybody else. So Jeff Skinner knows, that's interesting. I wasn't with Leon Draisaitl today. I was supposed to be there. Now, is this a demotion? Is this a message? You can read into that how you want. I do think it is true, though, as a coach, you would like options, and you would like to see how different things look. Perhaps at practice tomorrow, they're back to how they have been. What did he see at practice today that's going to tell him how Skinner looked with these other guys and how Janmark looked?
I have a hard time thinking it's not some sort of a message to say, look, we've got options.
Right.
If you're not getting it done the way we think you can or the way you should, we've got options. That might just be enough to say to him, oh, boy, I better, because preseason's been fairly non-existent to have somebody of that caliber coming in.
And he didn't go to Game 7 last year. Everybody else did.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
So he doesn't have that currency. He's never played a playoff game.
So, yeah, I think it's, that's what it's going to be on the starting night? Opening night? No. I think they're going to have Skinner up with Arvidsson and Leon Draisaitl. But never a bad idea as a coach to send a message without even saying anything, really. There's no way any media member could misread that or misrepresent that, because we're just checking around to see if we have options.
And we've seen Knobloch with a willingness to do that. Like I have found in my... Well, first of all, in my life as a sports fan, and then certainly in my career as a sports broadcaster, and then closely covering the Oilers and the Elks for over a decade, usually coaches get criticized for being too stubborn and for not changing, for saying, I did this and it always worked, so I'm going to keep on doing it. Knobloch, in still quite a short tenure as the head coach, has shown he has been willing to do that. Let's look at the playoffs last year. Pickard in for Skinner for 2 games. Perry scratched. McLeod scratched at one point. Fogle scratched. I think Fogle didn't play, the last 2 games against Dallas? Cody Ceci taken out in a game in the Stanley Cup final for Desharnais, who had already been taken out for Broberg late in the Dallas series. So he has shown a willingness to tinker and say, hey, I don't think he played been good enough. And Knobloch never has come out that I can remember and sort of blasted a player or said, that guy, he stunk and I'm going to punish him. He has said, maybe he needs a reset. Maybe he just needs a break. When Skinner came out against Vancouver, he didn't come out and say, well, he's just terrible goaltending and I'm not sure if he can play in the NHL. He came out and said, hey, we have 2 goalies. Maybe Stu needs a break and we think Pickard can play well. And he did. I mean, he won 1 game, 1 loss game. But it's hard. Yeah, I think you're right, Jay. It's hard to say that this isn't somewhat of a comment, whether it's directed at Skinner specifically or just directed at the team, saying, hey, guys, we got a game on Wednesday, okay? Don't anybody think it's all cool and I'm not paying attention to how you're doing. Even who's a player that we talked about a lot in the preseason, often critically, Josh Brown.
Yeah.
They put him on waivers. Yeah. Now, I'm sure they probably didn't think he was going to be claimed, especially since he has a 3-year deal. But nonetheless, you're telling Josh Brown, hey, Josh, we were willing to lose you for nothing. That's what we thought of your play. We were willing to risk, and maybe it wasn't a huge risk, but we were willing to risk losing you for nothing. Hey, everybody, see what we did? So, again, we're not. I agree. I don't think we're talking about something earth shattering. It's not like Nuge was on the fourth line or or something like that where you'd really raise the eyebrows. But I think fair. It is a bit of a comment.
Well, and I think you said it best by his willingness to make a change and make changes fast. You know, because that's one thing is Skinner's kind of got a free pass here throughout this whole training camp because Jeff Skinner, because he hasn't been the part of the story. The story's been the lack of depth in defense and how the bottom six is going to fit in for the forwards. So, you know, it hasn't really been talked about how much he's been non-existent really throughout the preseason, but you know, a subtle little, hey, we're just going to mix things up today. And whether it was a message, I think it probably was just to say, hey, look, let's get going here. It's go time.
Again, it's not just always to that specific player. It's to everybody, which I think is the coaching staff's job. We'll talk a little bit more about the Lavoie claiming and what I think that means. We're going to have my top 3 for food sausage, which I think is going to inspire some conversation on the text line of the Nasty Chat as well. Just shy of 4 o'clock, we'll have a quick break and then the Coob with the sports update.
Get all the latest news and takes on everything Oilers with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola on the Oil Stream. Live at noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Conveniently located 10 minutes west of St. Albert, Wheeler's RV Storage will provide you with safe, secure storage for your RV, boat, or whatever you need to store. Open 7 days a week with gated keypad access and extra large stalls. Now is the time to take advantage of their limited time offer. Buy 6 months and get 1 month free. Now's the time to go to WheelersRVStorage.com. That's Wheeler's RV Storage. Safe, secure storage. Visit them today at WheelersRVStorage.com. If you've been injured in a car collision, let James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers, protect your interests. They'll be there every step of the way to help answer your questions and help you get your life back on track. Trust Alberta's precedent-setting injury lawyers with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, call James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers, 780-428-0088, or go to JamesHBrown.com.
Gallo LLP is an Alberta-based accounting firm with expert chartered professional accountants in both our Edmonton and Sherwood Park accounting firms. Our experienced and innovative accountants provide financial advice that saves our clients money. Simply put, we help our clients protect their assets and grow their businesses. At Gallo LLP, they go beyond the numbers to ensure the continued success of your business. Reach out to Preet or John to discuss how they can help your business grow. Visit GalloLLP.ca today and see how they can help you take your business to the next level.
The Oilers with some moves, recalling Matt Savoy from Bakersfield while signing Cameron Wright to an AHL deal worth just over $950,000. Raphael Lavoie has been claimed off waivers by the Golden Knights last year, recording 50 points in 66 games for the Condors. Elsewhere, Zach Aston Reese moves to Columbus off waivers, and James Reimer gets picked up by Anaheim. Jesper Wallstedt has signed a 2-year deal worth $4.4 million with the Minnesota Wild. Wallstedt suited up in 45 AHL games last season, only playing 3 games for the big club. Texans wide receiver Nico Collins has suffered a hamstring injury and is listed as week to week. Collins came off the field midway through yesterday's game and did not return. Monday Night Football action as the Chiefs against the Saints, where Lieutenant Eric will be hanging out at the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge for 6:15 kickoff. In baseball, the Tigers and Guardians are tied at 0s in the 7th inning, and later, it's the Royals meeting the Yankees in New York. The Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne continues right now. I'm Zachary Kubish, and you're up to date.
We are back, and a good point coming in on the Nasty Chat read. Brian Smeaton says, isn't it common for lots of players to take time to settle into a new team? With discussion with the Jeff Skinner,
Yeah. I would say common. It's not unheard of.
It's not, but then you look on the other side of the line in a player like Arvidsson, who seems to look like they've been playing together for a few years.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess it's player specific.
It could be player, but certainly it happened. I understand what he's saying. I shouldn't get too picky about the word common.
Yeah,
I mean, Andre Sekera, very good defenseman. Probably his first 10 to 15 games as an Oiler were underwhelming.
Sure,
and then. Obviously, he was quite a good player.
Sure, he
helped them get into the playoffs, and then, he got hurt during that Anaheim series. There's another bit of a what if, I think, in Game 5, and then he kind of never really bounced back. But yeah, that's fair. But having said that, I still don't mind the coach doing something. I don't think a coach just wants to sit there and say, I won't worry about it till 10 or 12 games. The preseason, what did I tweet out on Friday? Especially offensively, kind of a mundane preseason. Now I know they had, kind of the comeback win against Seattle. They won a game in overtime. They won a game in a shootout. They only had one regulation win. I guess even from a preseason standpoint, I thought there might be a game where they got 7 or 8 goals.
Right.
Now, I actually thought they played pretty well in Seattle last Wednesday. Rodrigue really struggled. 4 goals on 5 shots and whatever it was, 6 on, was it 23 or 24? Not great. I thought Grubauer had a good game. I mean, maybe that should have been a 2-2 or 3-2 game. The Vancouver game was just kind of mundane. They were there, and I don't even know if the Canucks were all gung-ho about it either. So we'll see. I mean, somebody said to me, within the organization said to me earlier this week, because I made my Monday comment to them, and they said, okay, Reid, but 3 months ago they were playing Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. Let's not. This person said to me, I know it's a new year, but let's still not forget that's still in the context of this team's journey, and that they know it's go time on Wednesday. They're not idiots. This isn't a bunch of 21-year-olds who aren't familiar with the ebbs and flows of the playoffs and the preseason and the regular season.
Well, and we will dive into this a little bit more tomorrow, as we're going to have our 100% accurate, bona fide, take it to the bank NHL predictions.
How common in your life has it been to make playoff? Because we're going to do 16 playoff teams and then who beats who in the cup, and we're going to do the Oilers record. Have you ever done something that extensive?
For the NHL, no.
Yeah, and that's not even that extensive, but that's what we'll do. We'll pick the 6 because you are gonna find predictions really irritate people. Some
we've got to keep our predictions, and we'll have to pin them up.
Yeah, we'll
in the office
them.
here, and just so we can.
Because my predictions, I made my overly specific, silly predictions from 2 weeks ago. I've already forgotten 2/3 of them.
The Connor Brown one is stuck with everybody.
Was so much fun.
But no, it was Evan Bouchard, 100 points.
No, I said. Was that part of that, though? I said maybe it was. I said one of Bouchard, Quinn Hughes, or the other good player, Makar, the other good player, would get 100 points. I said there will be a 100-point defenseman this year, and I said it'll be one of those 3 guys. I don't remember what my other one was. But
okay. So tomorrow we're going to write down our predictions.
You're going to find you're going to upset people.
Oh, sure.
Even though we're going to be clearly having fun, and we're going to be clearly saying, hey, these are predictions. One trade or one injury could change everything. And we're going to encourage fans to make their own predictions. Like what we'll say tomorrow is for fans, we won't do all 16 playoff teams. We'll say the Oilers record. What I always have done before is we'll do the Oilers record, we'll do who beats who in the Stanley Cup Final, and then something goofy or fun or unexpected. And then that's creativity. Because then people can write in and say, the Utah Hockey Club will move to Anchorage mid-season. Like people can do funny stuff like that. But yeah, like I know sometimes like some people get upset about your predictions. If you diss their team or a player
if
they
you
like,
don't
or
say
something.
the Oilers are going to win the Stanley Cup, you'll get a lot of hate mail.
And by the way, I'm not picking the Oilers to win the Stanley Cup. I can already say that. As much as I have said in the past that if the team I'm covering is a championship caliber team, I will usually pick them just for the sake of optimism. I'm not going to pick the Oilers to win the Stanley Cup.
Well, I won't divulge.
I think people are going to be moderately surprised at the team I pick. And perhaps I'm doing it to be a little cheeky or perhaps a little toothy, to give a hint. All right. 780-218-9999. And you can jump into the Nasty Chat. Is the Nasty Chat often going on YouTube? Somebody said they couldn't see it.
Oh, yeah. Spency 5 cents, he said, Reid predicted Bouchard 20 goals and 65 assists.
Did I say that?
He says, I bet on it. So, Spency 5 cents.
I don't even. Maybe I did say that. I might have said that. Yeah, I might. This is how seriously I take them. Well, we'll save the ones tomorrow though, because they'll be, because it's fun. Because last year, I think I predicted, because I did it with Escott and Stoff and Mooner, and I had the most playoff teams. I predicted 13 of 16 playoff teams, and I think the other guys had 12 or 11. I don't even remember who I had for the Cup. I might have had Rangers and Oilers. I don't even remember. This was before the season. All right. Let's touch on the Lavoie stuff. We are doing the Oil Understood for GCL Diesel. So, Raphael Lavoie is 24 years of age. He's played 7 NHL games. He has 0 points. He's got pretty good minor league stats, especially the last 2 seasons. There's really not a spot for him on this Oilers roster as a top 6 player. So, him being exposed and claimed, okay, it happens. I don't know if it was going to work out for him with the Oilers. The problem, if you want me to identify one, is that the Oilers prospect, thank God they have Savoie, who they got in the trade for McLeod. He's their top forward prospect in terms of being a scorer. We know what Noah Philp did, and what's happened with Noah Philp is what we thought might happen, that he would get sent down, he'll play a primary role in Bakersfield, and he's probably the first call-up if they need that type of player. But the thing is with Lavoie is, well, we see an Oilers draft record that other than the guys they've gotten in the top 3 or the top 1, there's not much there, or they're gone. How far do you want me to go back? 2020, Holloway goes to St. Louis. Then they got Carter Savoie 100th overall. Tyler Tullio, less than half a point per game in Bakersfield last season. He was a 5th rounder. 2021, they get Xavier Bourgault in the first round. He's already been traded. Jake Chason in the 4th round that year. He's already been traded. Reed Schaefer in 2022. He has already been traded. Then the more recent guys, they didn't have a lot of draft picks in 2023. Sam O'Reilly from this year looked promising in camp. He goes back to London. But it's just, to me, Lavoie as an individual player departing the franchise, okay, never really blossomed the way the team was hoping, and really isn't a spot for him on the team in the short to medium term. So it happens. But bigger picture, it's just kind of like, man, oh man, they have not drafted well. There is not a lot in the cupboard for 2 or 3 or 4 years down the road. Now, maybe that'll change with some of the guys they still have coming. I mentioned Akey as a defenseman. I mentioned Riley as a forward. And with some of the later round guys, that's a bit of a crapshoot. But I guess that's what's unfortunate about him going. It's like there's another player they drafted and were hopeful for that didn't pan out, and there's a lot of those, even as they become a better team over the last 5 or 6 years.
Well, Lotzi, who's the senior writer for Heavy Hockey Net, that they're friends of EST. Interesting tweet that he sent out that Lavoie's departure mean that there are no longer any Holland picks that have played NHL games for the Oilers left in the organization.
Because Holland picked Broberg, right? Holland picked Holloway.
Mm-hmm.
I guess there'd be guys playing junior or maybe unsigned.
And Vegas, of all places, too.
Yeah. Max Wanner is still around, 7th round pick. He's in Bakersfield, right?
Does it hit different?
Did he say forward, though?
Nope. Picks.
Well, there'd still be a couple guys in the organization, I think. But yeah, I understand what the general point,
premise of
it. Yeah.
But does it hit different that it's Vegas?
I guess the thing I would say to that is, does Vegas know something that the Oilers didn't? Because they've done pretty darn good acquiring players.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I don't know their entire minor league system or how they're going to deploy. I mean, maybe they needed somebody in Henderson, and they thought, okay, Lavoie is better than what we had.
Yeah, and I guess the general sentiment is was this player ever given the opportunity to succeed? You know?
I think he was. I think there might be some players you could argue that they weren't, and we're going to talk about one. We might have to push my top 3 back, I guess, eh? Do we have time to do it now? Because it's going to get people going too.
Sure, give her. We can run a little.
let's fit it in now. The jumping off point for this is actually Trey Ford, and we will have plenty of Elks discussion coming up as well. It is my top 3 for food sausages, the best sausages you will ever eat, locally made, packed full of flavor. Order online or visit them in store, 6736 99th Street. Take advantage of their Edmonton Sports Talk discount, 10% off your order by entering the online code EST, or just mention Edmonton Sports Talk in store. Free delivery in Edmonton on orders over $100. As Food Sausage says, you can't beat our meat. Top 3 what could have been Edmonton sports figures. So we're using Trey Ford as the jumping off point here, because if he leaves in the offseason, and regardless of what happens in his future, he's going to be one of those players where fans will say, what if? What if we would have given him a shot? What if he would have been managed better, played more, all that kind of stuff? And you'll see now there are dozens of names that could go here, because I talked to a buddy about this morning. I talked to Dusty about it. Usually I don't do this. I told you my list ahead of time because you were just like, okay, this guy. And I included sports figures because I'm going to include a coach. And this is I'll just go, because the first one, top 3 what could have been Edmonton sports figures, never played a game for an Edmonton pro team. But he's a big what if. What if he would have been an Oiler? Coob, do you know where I'm going? People will know where I'm going. It's okay. Coob, you weren't born when this happened.
Shane Doan.
Shane, he got it! Got it! Clicks for the Coob, yes! Shane Doan. Is that one of the biggest what-ifs in Oilers history? Shall we recap? 1995 draft set. What was it called at the time? Was it Rexall already? Skyreach, whatever the Coliseum was called. The Oilers draft 6th overall. Shane Doan, the Western kid, played for Kamloops. Everybody's chanting his name, and the Oilers draft Steve Kelly. And then the next pick, the Winnipeg Jets, the other Winnipeg Jets, I guess now they're Utah, take Shane Doan. And Steve Kelly played 149 NHL games, 19 of them with the Oilers. Shane Doan played 1,540 NHL games and had 972 points. Through an era, and I mean, most of his career, the scoring was quite low, right? I mean, 972 points in almost 1,600 games for when he played. Pretty good. So this is the spirit of this. My top 3 what could have been Edmonton sports figures. Shane Doan. That's right up there.
Yeah. That's
and credit to the
one that got away.
Yeah, that's going to come up forever. For number 2, I didn't want to do, I could have just done all hockey and what if the Oilers hadn't traded this guy, but I wanted to do an Elks one. And again, I'm not going to do a player here, and this is quite recent. I'm going to do Scott Milanovich, who was the coach of the Elks for about 13 months and didn't coach a game because he was hired in December of 2019 and departed to the NFL late January of 2021. Milanovich, pretty well respected, had a relationship with Trevor Harris. A lot was made of that. And then because of COVID, there was no 2020 season. And Milanovich eventually took an opportunity to go to the National Football League. So then in January 2021, the Elks kind of had to scramble to hire a coach and hired Elizondo, and he only lasted a year, and that led to Jones, and his second tenure with the team was quite poor, yada, yada, yada. So, I mean, this is... I realize some people might say, well, you can't include COVID stuff, but he still left. He still could have stayed and said, I'm going to coach in 2021. Who knows? Would have they been better? I don't know. I would have loved to find out. I would have loved if there would have been the 6-game season they were talking about doing in a bubble in Winnipeg, just to have a season. Who knows if he's the coach for that? So I'm going to put Scott Milanovich as a what if could have been Edmonton sports figure on this list.
That's like a true what if.
Yeah, that's a massive.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, nobody knows. And then my third one, and this is going to take Jay. I'm going to just throw the name out there, and then Jay has his own spin-off on this, which is I think people will understand. I'm going to put, and I guess I have to do this for Dustin as well, Jesse Puljujarvi, who seems to be having a pretty good season or preseason with the Penguins. Played only 22 games for them last year. And on 3 occasions, Jesse Puljujarvi scored double digits with the Edmonton Oilers. 3 times. I mean, he was with the Oilers going back to 2016-17. But there's still sort of that debate around him. Was he handled properly? Was he treated fairly, with the hip injury and all that kind of stuff? Should have the team just said, no, we'll let you get through this and keep you around, and we think there's something there. And then I heard all the other side of it, too, was no hockey sense. He's a distraction. You can tell nobody wants him on his line. But I still am going to put him as a what if. But that leads to your what if.
Well, what if they just didn't draft him at all in 2016, Reid? What if they took a young fella from the London Knights in Matthew Tkachuk?
And then there were rumors at the time that if Puljujarvi hadn't fallen to them, they were going to take Mikhail Sergachev, the defenseman who went 9th to the Montreal Canadiens.
That could have been all right. I was looking through this draft, and not to get too off topic, but Alex DeBrincat went in the 2nd round, 39th overall.
Yeah, he's good.
He's good.
And that's another thing. Could have the Oilers? There's another what if. What if they take DeBrincat 32nd instead of Tyler Benson?
Yeah.
That's another.
That's a team.
What if there?
That's a unit.
By the way, you know where Sergachev is now?
No.
Utah Hockey Club.
Really?
Utah's going to make the playoffs. I'm definitely going to have them as a playoff team tomorrow.
Well, how do you know I didn't pick them to win the Stanley Cup?
That would be a hell of a pick if you picked the Utah, possibly Yeti.
It's got to be Yeti. It's got to be Yeti.
Well, didn't one of the players accidentally leak it?
It's been leaked like 3 times.
Yeah, I think but not this year. It's going to be the Utah Hockey Club.
Right.
So that's our top 3, and I guess it's both of us kind of today. What could have been Edmonton sports figures? A couple of my buddies. Well, the one buddy I talked to, what if Pronger stays more than a year? Jesse Lumsden, okay, maybe, but he did play, but he got hurt. But that's the spirit of this. My top 3, what could have been Edmonton sports figures.
I played at the same time as Jesse Lumsden when he was at McMaster.
Oh, nice.
And we played in an East-West All-Star game together. And he is a massive person. But his running style just did not equate to the professional game. Okay. He ran very upright and just used his size and speed. And at that level, it worked. But not so much at the CFL.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is that why he got injured as often as he did, do you think?
Yeah. It's just the smaller style back that can take a banging inside is much more suitable to this game.
Mm-hmm.
There's no Derrick Henry. He would be the equivalent of Derrick Henry up here, but Derrick Henry can run away from people.
Right.
So for all the speed that Jesse had, he decided to take up bobsledding.
That's right. Yeah. He went on to the Olympic bobsleigh. Okay, so we're having some fun with that one. We're going to do buying or selling next, but first we got a sports update for Paramount Flooring.
The Oilers have recalled Matt Savoie from Bakersfield while signing Cameron Wright of the Condors to a 1-year deal worth just over $950,000. The Vegas Golden Knights have claimed Raphael Lavoie off waivers, and Lavoie last year potted 50 points in 66 games on the Bakersfield Condors. Other claims saw Zach Aston-Reese to Columbus and James Reimer to Anaheim. The Washington Capitals have signed Jakub Vrana from his PTO to a 1-year deal worth $750,000 and will be on the team's starting roster. Out in Minnesota, Jesper Wallstedt signs a 2-year extension worth $4.4 million. Wallstedt spent most of last year playing in the AHL, only suiting up 3 times for the big club. Texans' Nico Collins Injury status has changed from day to day to week. Collins suffered a hamstring injury midway through yesterday's game and did not return. It's Chiefs Saints to close out week 5 of the NFL, where you could join Lieutenant Eric at the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge for kickoff just after 6. MLB playoffs have the Tigers and Guardians scoreless in the 8th, while the Royals visit the Yankees later tonight. This sports update has been brought to you by Paramount Flooring. Proudly family owned and operated for 33 years, they provide flooring to fit your lifestyle and budget. Specializing in hardwood, vinyl, plank, tile, and carpet, Paramount Flooring is passionate about its craft and its customers. Visit their showroom at 10707 184th Street or go online at paramountflooring.ca to see the family-owned difference for yourself. Paramount Flooring. Flooring for the life you live. Right after the break, the Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne continues. I'm Zachary Kubish, and you're up to date.
780 is just another lame-ass, low-budget local shop. Homegrown right here in Edmonton, 780 is both the shop name and their in-house clothing brand that celebrates all things unique to E-Town. They also work with close to 100 local vendors from the 780 to help promote and get their brands off the ground. Check them out online at 780.com or at any of their 5 locations at Southgate, Londonderry, Kingsway, St. Albert, and the Outlet Mall by the airport.
You want the heavy hitters on your team, both on and off the ice. If you've been injured in a car accident, call the heavy hitters of injury law. James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers. With over 200 years of combined injury law experience, their precedent-setting lawyers are ready to help. Locally owned and proud Edmonton Oiler fans, James H. Brown and Associates wants to support you with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, head to jameshbrown.com.
GCL Diesel has been serving oil country since 1972. From diesel cars to SUVs to pickups, from farm tractors to school buses to a big rig, from diesel generators to forklifts, GCL can test, troubleshoot, and repair all diesel fuel system components. Whether it's injectors, pumps, turbos, filters, or additive, GCL has the parts you need to keep your diesel running the way it should. For genuine diesel parts at wholesale prices, visit GCL Diesel in the West End or online at GCLDiesel.com. GCL Diesel. Diesel understood.
All right, good to have you tuning in this afternoon. Oh, my. Good show. Off and running. We had Luke Gazdic on earlier. Jed Roberts will join us in about 15 minutes. Chris Cuthbert scheduled to join us at 20 after 5.
Things are getting spicy in the EST inbox. I'm going to say. Library Pat says, Shane Doan, I was in the building when that happened.
Oh, no.
Sigh. Waddy and Cloverdale, tell Ice Cube that All Gas No Brakes is the number 1 horse in the first race tonight at Woodbine Mohawk Park.
Oh, bet $100 to win.
There is a horse named All Gas No Brakes. I tried finding it the whole break on Coolbet, but I can't find the park. I would bet on it.
Did you say Woodbine?
Woodbine.
That's Toronto.
Woodbine Mohawk Park, yeah. Scoob says, what if they drafted Kachuk instead of Pooley?
Yeah.
Jason the Acadia, Fleming in as president of the Elks instead of Len Rhodes would have been an interesting, what if?
Yeah.
For Edmonton
I
sports.
still don't know how bad Fleming wanted to or wants to do that job.
I think there was a time where he wanted it.
Okay.
He does not want it now. I heard that directly from him talking to Halsey, to be honest with you.
Okay.
He does not want it. What if the Elks didn't hire Tillman? Interesting. What if Kessler didn't hold the pad?
That's a good one. Yeah,
I like that.
What if Letestu would have got that bouncing puck? But okay, specifically, it's personnel in terms of what if. What if we're not talking about moments in games? Like, fair enough about the pad hold, but
one can always dream.
That's another category. That's another Reid's top 3 or off-topic topic. We're talking about what could have been with a person.
Yes, and if you are listening and you are joining us in the EST inbox or at the Nasty Chat, give us a thumbs up. We're trying to get to 100 for my birthday.
How many do we have? Do we know?
We know. Currently, we're at 73, so we are on pace.
Oh, yeah.
We should be able to get this done.
Give us a thumbs up on YouTube, everybody.
Give us a thumbs up on YouTube. If your wife's at home, grab her phone and thumbs it up on there as well. thumbs it up. That's about the best way I could say that.
A couple of people did not want Tkachuk drafted. We're glad he wasn't drafted as an Oiler.
Joel,
come on, though, you're complimenting him by saying that.
There and Big Uke's right. He does say there's so many what ifs that you could look at for draft boards. I mean,
for sure. But I think the Doan one. I understand what you're saying, Big Uke, but I think the Doan one is very clear because it's near the top of the draft. He was. I mean, you can go, well, they could have got this guy 140th and he went 147th. I get it. That would be silly, I think, to do too much of that. But I think the Doan one, given the circumstance and that the player was considered a pretty sure bet, and probably considered a better NHL prospect than Steve Kelly, even at that time. Now, Kelly didn't wind up doing much, but to me, that's why I think the Doan one really stands out. Is that fair?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's
the Coob knew about it. He wasn't born. He was -9 or something. What year were you born, Coob?
03.
I thought he just left mid-show. He's like, I've had enough.
Yeah,
1 month. I gave it a month with these guys. I'm walking out mid-show. All right. That is an interesting topic, though. I like the Milanovic one. I think that's a big one. Yeah, and the whole Puljujärvi one. Because that was I was at that draft, and it was supposed to go Matthews, Laine, Puljujärvi. And then the Oilers would take maybe Tkachuk, maybe somebody else, and it's like, oh, they took Dubois. How did that work out? Dubois' stats are actually pretty good. It's just he's got this reputation, right? So then the Oilers take Puljujärvi. Vancouver took Olli Juolevi, who has played 41 games.
Yeah, I was looking at that draft. That was interesting.
Yeah,
draft.
he was supposed to be good.
The Wolf in the EST inbox. First time hearing the 780 store commercial. Love it. Been going to the 780 store at the Airport Mall for 2 years. Amazing mustache oils and amazing Oiler t-shirts. As you guys all know, the 780 is the presenting sponsor for our flyaway to LA, which it will be coming up.
I wonder when we'll be giving away that word.
Maybe
Perhaps
after
later.
the Golden Goal.
Perhaps later. All right, it is time for, buying or selling for Damon Bunting, who is a consistent top-producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and among Western Canadian RE/MAX realtors. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Community-driven, he understands what it takes to make a difference in our city, and he does with his annual golf tournament, which we were a part of. Check him out, DamonBunting.com. Instagram, you get him at Damon Bunting Real Estate. And I think you bunch that all together into one big word. Or just search Damon Bunting.
And we are bumping things up. We're over 80. We're at 84, Reid. We're on schedule.
We're cruising today. This is great. So it's a fun week with the Oilers getting started and a lot to talk about. Unfortunately for the Elks, it's not great. They were eliminated from the playoffs for the fourth consecutive year, fifth time in the last 6 years they're going to make the playoffs. Really, since they last won, since the 05 Grey Cup, I know they won it in 15. They've had more playoff misses than home playoff games by a considerable margin. Some of that we'll dive more into when the season's actually over. But let's do this for buying or selling. Well, do you want to talk about a couple moments from that game, first of all, against Saskatchewan?
Yeah, it was a great game. It actually was an entertaining game, right?
If you didn't care who won, you'd be like, hey, that was a good game.
That was entertaining.
Some big plays, some mistakes, some momentum swings.
Yeah. I honestly had a little bit of an issue with not necessarily the referees, but the rulings on the field. There was a incidental contact, pass interference that was called after it was challenged. Mm-hmm. It just depends. I know the definition of the rule. I looked it up, but it depends how you can explain what happened during that play. In fact, if there was, I don't think it was incidental contact pass interference, if you didn't know that already. I think if there was any call it could have been made, it could have been called offensive pass interference because the Saskatchewan player ran into the Elks defender.
This was the one late in the game.
Yeah.
Sask is already up. They were probably already going to win anyway, but it helped them seal the game.
No, that was a big second down. It was a missed, it was an incomplete pass. They would have punted. No, it was a big point in the game, and I think they blew that call. I don't know the Javon leak down the field that they somehow stepped in and replayed. Now, I know that the command center can step in and replay on scoring plays. The referee crew clearly came over and said, no, this was down before that. So this was not a scoring play.
It was a potential scoring play, which they can review. If they think, he might have been over the line, they can review it.
But they already came back and said, no, he was down by contact here. They spotted the ball at the 1 yard line. So that is no longer a potential scoring play.
No, it is, because the video review says, did he get that into the end zone? Dusty talked about it this morning. That it was
okay, but when they reviewed that, they ruled it a catch on the field.
Yes.
How do you rule that? How do you change that? You're telling me there was conclusive evidence that the ground aided that catch? I didn't see it. I was at Century Casino. There was 30 flipping TVs on. I did not see the definitive, the way to tell if a ball is aided or a catch is aided by the ground is to see the ball rotate because it's gripping the ground and therefore the ground is aiding it. That ball did not move. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
And I hate getting too much into the officiating because that's not why they lost, but there were a couple calls that didn't go their way.
But this was challenged. This was from the command center.
Yes, because the command center says we think we might have a touchdown. And I get why. I didn't like it at the time, and I still think it was obvious that he wasn't in the end zone. So I thought it was obvious he was touched and down outside the end zone. I guess they're being extra cautious. And if that was a situation in which there's no time on the clock, if that was the last play of the game, you would want it looked at just to make sure it wasn't a touchdown. The pass, and this is why I'm at the point where I would say scrap the review for pass interference. Jackson is covering a Saskatchewan receiver who's running an in. And he runs. I forget the Saskatchewan receiver name. He collides with the Saskatchewan player who's running an out.
Yeah.
So to me, that could have just as easily been ruled offensive pass interference for throwing a pick.
Yeah.
So at that point, I would say
keep the flag in.
Keep the flag in. The refs didn't call it on the field. The officials didn't call on the field. They saw a collision. They said it was incidental contact. Now Saskatchewan challenges, as they should have. If I were Corey Mace, I would have done the same thing. I would have challenged that because it's the last 2 minutes of the game and you got your challenge. You might as well use it. But that's why I would say just get rid of the pass interference challenge and live with some of the bunk.
Well, yeah, but or call that as it was. That was offensive pass interference. We don't have the clip, right?
No, we don't have the clip.
Okay,
but it's fine.
It was just But either way, tough end of the season. Once again, I don't think MBT lost them that game, but he certainly didn't win it for them. Didn't go down and win the game when it mattered,
or get more points earlier in the game.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, 2 massive mistakes by his receivers. Yeah. I mean, they're probably going to get a field goal at the end of the first half, and Lewis loses the handle on the ball. I still didn't even check if they ruled it an INT or a fumble. If it is an INT, it's
interception.
I mean, Lewis had the ball.
It hit him in the chest.
I mean, he's handling it, and he flips it out, and it gets taken away. And then the Riders, so it should have been 18-15 Elks. It's 18-15 Riders. And then Gittins at the end of the game. I mean, again, it's just frustrating. And I agree. MBT as a quarterback, you needed another level for him, but there were plenty of mistakes that weren't on him. And he hits Gittins, who's getting yak. I mean, would have been around the 40. You would have had plenty of time to get 40 yards and win the game.
Yeah. No, that's I said it after on the post-game show, is that this reminded me of that 0-7 team when they were making critical mistakes at critical times. It's not, like Geno Lewis, that changed the start of that game or the halfway point. And then the Curly Gittins Jr., that's at a critical juncture in the game.
Yep.
You're driving down the field to take the lead. So, much of the same.
It's just amazing to me. So the Elks are what now, 5-11? All their 5 wins are double-digit wins. And they have a lot of losses by 3, by 4, by 7. They did not win a game. Maybe they will win the final 2, but it doesn't matter. They did not win a game decided by single digits. And that's hard to do. I mean, often you win a close game by accident, or eventually another team makes a bigger mistake than you do. No, it's always the Elks. It's always the Elks in a close game screwing it up.
Yeah.
It'd be like a hockey team losing 20 games that went to a shootout. You'd think eventually you're going to win one. And that's why I think, and I guess we'll get into this with Jed as well, I still think they're a ways away from being a contending team. But we will discuss that with Jed Roberts when we get back.
I disagree.
I know. That's fine. We'll talk. We'll talk about it.
Will we?
Yes.
How do you know?
Because we're going to ask Jed about it.
No, I do. And I think we'll get into it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sports update for Wheelers RV.
Matt Savoy has been recalled from Bakersfield while Cameron Wright signs to a 1-year AHL deal worth over $950,000. Other moves see Raphael Lavoie getting claimed off waivers from Vegas after the Oilers tried to move him back down to the Condors. Elsewhere, Zach Aston Reese moves to Columbus from the waiver wire, and James Reimer gets picked up by Anaheim. Earlier, it was Jesper Wallstedt signing a 2-year deal worth $4.4 million with the Minnesota Wild. And last year with the Wild, Wallstedt only suited up for 3 games, but played 45 games in the AHL. Texans wide receiver Nico Collins has suffered a hamstring injury and is listed week to week. Collins came off the field midway through yesterday's game and did not return. Monday Night Football action has the Chiefs and the Saints, where Lieutenant Eric will be hanging out at the Centric Casino Sports Bar and Lounge for 6:15 kickoff. In baseball, the Tigers and Guardians are tied at 0s in the 9th inning. Later, the Royals meet the Yankees in New York. Right after the break, Jed Roberts joins Reid Wilkins and Jay Milne. I'm Zachary Kubish. And this sports update has been brought to you by Wheelers RV. Conveniently located 5 minutes east of St. Albert, Wheelers RV is your safe and secure place to store your RV, boat, or whatever it is you want to store. Visit them at wheelersrvstorage.com to take advantage of their limited time offer. Buy 6 months and get 1 free. Go to wheelersrvstorage.com today and get your storage needs taken care of. The Reid Wilkins Show, back just after the break.
Your brand deserves more than just a whisper, it deserves a buzz. At the Hive Product Marketing, they specialize in promotional products that bring the buzz. From eye-catching giveaways to unforgettable keepsakes, they got the perfect products to make your brand stand out and get noticed. Visit the Hive Product Marketing and let them create the buzz your business deserves. The Hive Product Marketing, the official merch partner of Edmonton Sports Talk. Visit them online at thehiveproductmarketing.com.
It's crunch time. Because for a limited time, A&W is collaborating with Ruffles to bring you the Ruffles Crunch Teen Burger, your favorite teen burger, and your favorite Ruffles cheddar and sour cream chips, combined into one unique taste sensation. It's grass-fed beef. It's one-of-a-kind ridges and crunch. Try it in all its teen burger glory, or crunch into its equally tasty sidekick, the Ruffles Crunch Buddy Burger, for just $4.99. Try one today at your neighborhood.
Hi there. If you're like me, you like to picture yourself in luxury, even though there's absolutely no way you could afford it. And if you can, well, even better. Thankfully, I picture myself in something that is luxury, but still absolutely affordable, like the all-new Mazda CX-90 from Park Mazda. With the new luxury features like facial recognition settings and quilted detail Napa leather seating, I can pretend to be comfortable with all of my proper settings activated without even touching a button, thanks to Mitch Lewicki and the great staff at Park Mazda. I like to picture Mitch Lewicki as a ninja fighting off evil samurai.
Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park off Y Road, parkmazda.ca.
Since 1952, William Huff has been the heartbeat of Edmonton's advertising world. From humble beginnings to a citywide powerhouse, we've been the go-to for signage from print to design and installation. Partnering with Edmonton's top sports franchises and major events, we've helped shape the city's global reputation. Our secret? Unmatched customer service, decades of experience, and a passion for excellence we call the William Huff Advantage. Visit us online at williamhuff.com.
All right, thanks a lot for joining us this afternoon. Chris Cuthbert will hop on the show at about 20 after 5. Always great to catch up with him. Jed Roberts, Double E alum, our weekly guest, joining us now. Jed, it's Reid and Jay. How are you doing?
Oh, man, I'm good. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Okay, I'm going to dive right into this. So the Elks were 0-7 at one point. They lost their first 6 games, all by 8 points or fewer. Then Hamilton blew them out. They lost to Montreal by 4. They lost to Winnipeg by 13, but it was tied with 11 minutes left. They got blown out in Winnipeg, and then they lost to Saskatchewan by 4 points on the weekend. All their wins are by 11 points or more. How do you possibly lose every close game that you're in, Jed? Seems like after a while, something would go your way. How has this team lost every close game it's been in?
I don't know. I was saying, I can't remember who I was talking to. I think it could have been Trent Brown, but we were talking about like the bounces just weren't going their way those first 7 games, and, Ron Lancaster, he used to always say you got to win the early games. And that's why, historically when we had success here at this franchise, we always won the early ones. We'd always win out. There were 2 guarantees in life. We were making the playoffs and we always won our home opener, and, when you get those summer wins, it makes everything a lot easier when it's the leaves are falling off the trees and you're fighting for that playoff spot. Here's a stat. I don't think anybody's really been paying attention to this. The Elks are the highest scoring team in the league.
Yeah.
At 5-11, they've scored 450 points. They've scored more points than anybody else in the Canadian Football League. But they've given up 452, which is the second most. So it's not offense that's causing them grief. It's defense, oddly enough. And you want to talk about quarterback controversy. You want to talk about, the running game not being there over the weekend. It's not for lack of productivity on the offensive side of things. I think people need to have that proper context and understand that the problems that they were having, by and large, were defensive. And, that's a pretty tough, bitter pill to swallow here in October when you're looking at the standings and you're 5-11 and you scored more points than anybody else in the entire league. That's nuts.
Yeah. Well, a couple teams have passed them now, Jed, but they are right up there, and they were number 1 a couple of weeks ago, just to clarify. But, yeah, I mean, the offense really, for the most part, has not been a huge thing. I just before Jay jumps in here, like, in terms of Saturday, where did it go wrong to you? Like Jay and I were talking about Gino giving that ball away late in the first half. I know MBT threw a pick. There was the Gittins fumble. There was a too many men. There were some offsides where I'm thinking, how could the guy jump like that? Was there a moment where you thought, okay, that's just a mistake they're not going to be able to overcome?
That was the last turnover. When the defender punched the ball out of his hand there. They were in it right up to the last. In a game like that, you just can't make those mistakes. And you already you listed off all the other mistakes that they made. Ball security is, you're not going to win games in this league with the minus, plus minus, in the minuses. It's just not something that happens in any league, really. You've got to protect that ball. You can't have all the turnovers. And, where do you start and where do you end? It's just been a tough year in that respect, I suppose. But, when you're fighting for a culture, that's part of the, you got to pay attention to the little things. You can't make mental mistakes and critical times. And this team really went through a lot of very difficult growing pains this year but I like, when you're in this position where you're out of the playoffs and you're not going in, and you just start thinking about what you play for, and that's your job next year. And, to build on something positive. The offensive line pretty much by and large stayed pretty healthy the whole year. Had a couple of changes there at guard, but, they've got a really good, solid nucleus of guys there. They've got 3 high quality running backs. I don't know how many of those guys will be able to keep on the roster. I'm not sure what the free agency situation is, but they've got some quality talent on this roster. If you look at both sides of the ball, it's just the changes that they need to make are relatively minor. But when you're talking about quarterback, like what will happen, I think that you could probably make a pretty good case that they completely botched the Trey Ford management situation and making sure that you're taking care of your hot young prospect. Wouldn't blame the guy if he didn't want to come back next year. Some people think he might go back home and play closer to Hamilton there. And I guess in some ways we probably wouldn't blame him if he did that. But it'll be an interesting offseason, one of the most interesting off seasons we've had in a long time, I would say. And it'd be a shame if they let him go. And you know, with a guy like that, he puts people in the seats and he keeps people on the edge of their seat when they're in this seats. And, yeah, it was just a lot of fun to watch him. I really I can't really remember the last time we had a young quarterback like that kind of, maybe, you know, Ricky Ray or maybe Mike Riley in some respects, but you know, there's not for the lack of talent on this roster. I'll tell you, they've just got to, you know, figure it out in terms of their culture and start building on what they have. You know, they've got Niles Morgan and, you know, they've got some pretty good young linebackers. And, you know, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting offseason. That's all I have to say.
And let's talk about that offseason, because as of right now, there's nothing to be played for. There's no hope at it's not even draft picks, because they gave away their first round draft pick. So you're not even spying that. In your opinion, what are the, let's say, the top 2 changes that need to happen for this team to improve throughout the offseason? And it can be GM, coaching, player, whatever. What are your top 2?
Well, they need to figure out, you know, what they're gonna do at GM. You know, that's the guy that's building the team. You know, if they're gonna keep G-Roy, then, you know, they need to figure that out very quickly, because when you're bidding on free agents, that's one of the big things, is that guys want to know who's making those decisions. And you know, it's a small league. Everybody talks to each other, and I would imagine that they'll probably have a pretty good idea now, especially being out in the playoffs, like what way they're going to go. But I would imagine they'll keep the current incarnation of the management structure in place until the last game is played, and then we'll find out pretty quickly what they're going to do. But I think the GM situation needs to be sorted out, and then the rest of it will be pretty straightforward. I think whoever comes in as GM will probably want to, you know, have their own people in, and we'll see what happens. You know, I mean, you're 5-11. You know, there's not a lot you can say about that, right? Like, you can't argue that, you know, changes aren't necessary when you haven't been producing. But I do think that their roster does have a lot of talent on it, and I think they badly underplayed according to what they have on their roster. I mean, the statistics bear that out. You know, it didn't really matter who was playing quarterback. They got a lot of productivity out of that position, and you know, the nucleus is there. They just need to build around it, but they got to get that GM thing sorted out first.
Jed Roberts joining us on the Reid Wilkins Show as we are in the James H. Brown studio. James H. Brown Personal Injury Law Firm, the heavy hitters of injury law with over 200 years of experience. James H. Brown will get you the settlement you deserve. Visit them at jameshbrown.com. Book your private consultation today. So here's a question, and we'll all answer it. Buying or selling for Damon Bunting Real Estate. Can the Elks be a Grey Cup caliber team next season? Now, I'm specifically saying Grey Cup caliber, like a team that looks like it can win. I'll go first, just because since I'm the one asking the question, then Jed, then Jay. And I'm going to sell that because the Elks over the last 4 years, quite frankly, over the last 6, and in some ways for large parts of the last 20, have not shown me that they can be a Grey Cup caliber team. I do agree with you, Jed. I think there are some good players here. I think there are some really good players here. But again, I go back to what I've seen in close games, and they are always the team that makes the mistake as opposed to makes the play. And I think it takes a lot to overcome that. I am hopeful that they can improve a little bit again next year and get into the playoffs. Let's not forget 2/3 of the teams make the postseason, so it shouldn't be that hard. But I don't see them making a jump to be a Grey Cup caliber team just because, again, of how poorly they've handled close game situations and because there's still a big question mark at quarterback. Sorry for being pessimistic, Jed. You know I'm usually optimistic, but that's where I stand on that. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. And the quarterback situation is so uncertain right now. Like, we don't know, like, is MBT coming back? Is Trey Ford going to forgive all of the slights, you know, in terms of like him not getting the opportunities when he maybe he should have, you know, like, I don't know. It's there's too much uncertainty. You can't win in this league without that position in particular solidified. And that uncertainty alone for me kind of says, yeah, you know, if they make the playoffs, I think it's a success next year. But to say that, you know, looking at this team is just be reckless on my part to say, yeah, they'll win the Grey Cup. There's nothing on here right now that tells me that. We don't even know what's going to happen in terms of, management yet. So, if there was a little bit more consistency, a little bit more stability, more certainty from top to bottom, I could probably make that bold position. But I just would be lying to you if I said that that's what I thought and how I felt. I think that there's a lot of things that need to happen before we can actually have that conversation about this team. I think that if they finish this season, with a win or two, that would be nice. And that would be, for me, a successful ending for this particular edition of this team. It's just been frustrating, and I feel for the guys, when you don't have anything to play for, it's really difficult to keep showing up for practice. But these guys are pros, and I'm optimistic that they'll show up and give Calgary all they can handle this weekend, and then we'll see what happens after that. But and again, Reid, it's not for the lack of talent. They have the guys there. They just haven't been able to put the culture together yet, and that's a killer, man. If you don't have the culture, you can't win.
My answer is yes. I'm buying that because it's the CFL. Anything can happen through free agency. And if this team has some consistency throughout the offseason, throughout training camp and into the season, obviously that's going to be beneficial. There was a lot of changes that happened this year, a lot of people coming and going. And let's not forget, they hired a private owner for the first time. This has been a community-owned club. They now have Larry Thompson, who's in charge. And that Grey Cup for 2026 is available. So I have a lot of confidence that Larry Thompson they're going to award that to the Elks. And they're going to be making some moves, possibly, exceeding the salary cap to make sure that they're in position to host and be in that Grey Cup in 2026, and it starts next year. So I'm looking to see some moves. And I'm not necessarily saying on the quarterback side of things, if MBT wants to come back and take a pay cut from what he's currently getting, I'm in for that. Sign me up. He's serviceable. I don't know what we have with Trey Ford, but that defense, there needs to be changes on that defense. Jekyll and Hyde, they were just too up and down throughout the season, giving up big plays. So that would be something I'd address. If they can do that, they've got a great offensive line. The offensive line was not an issue. Running backs are not an issue. The receivers aren't an issue. They're putting up the most points in the league, like you said, Jed. So if they can get in some big free agents and bolster up that defense, I don't see why they wouldn't be a caliber of a Grey Cup team next year.
All right. Well, we'll see. I hope you're right, Jay. I hope Jed
I'm
and I are
always
wrong.
optimistic anyways.
I hope it's a big jump, not us. I mean, they got one more win than last year. At most, they can get three more. So they're going to have to do a lot better than that. Did you have something for Jed on M&F?
Well, yeah, I was going to say Monday Night Football tonight. We got the Chiefs and the Saints. Saints are 2-2. Chiefs are 4-0. I just want to get your thoughts on this because both teams have been pretty explosive offensively. Well, sorry, the Saints have been more explosive, if you can believe that, than the Chiefs. But this is still the Kansas City Chiefs. This is still a 4-0 squad. And Taylor Swift will be in the building, Jed. So I know that might change your thought process, but no, I want to talk to you quickly about something else. I'm gonna pull a U-turn here. Last night, and I know that you've talked about this on the show before, but you do a lot of lip reading. And this has been an exciting season for lip reading in the NFL. And I don't know if you saw the CeeDee Lamb clip where he was chirping, or what people think is that he was chirping his quarterback, Dak Prescott. But how often do you see these clips because of your hearing impairment and you've lived your whole life where you can really dial that in? How often do you see these and just laugh at what people are suggesting, knowing full well what is being said?
Oh, all the time, every time. Like when people send me the bad lip readings from the NFL, and I know exactly what they're saying, but they dub in what they're, and then it kind of just throws me off a little bit. But that's, majority of the communication I do is, people don't know this about me. My wife knows this, but I turn my hearing aid off about 60% of the time, and I just read lips the whole time. So, yeah, I know exactly what people are saying, and I didn't see that video. I saw a picture of it, and I saw a reference of. And I'm kicking myself for not watching it because I could have told you what he said. But, yeah, I'm pretty good. Like, I'm batting around, maybe 875 in terms of like lip reading. Like so yeah, I'm a world-class lip reader. So I'll have to check that out after I get off of here and be able to tell you. I was watching the WWE thing on Netflix and was lip reading what Vince McMahon said to his son at the end of the last episode there. And he finally told his son that he was proud of him and that he loved him and stuff like that. So my wife was like, "Are you sure that's what he said? He doesn't seem like a very nice guy." I said, "Oh yeah, that's what he said." So yeah,
he's still capable of love, and he can still not be a nice guy.
He is. He is. He may be he may be just completely,
a monster
out to lunch in terms of like, but he loves his son.
Jed, we love you, as does our audience. Always appreciate your insight. Thanks for joining us once a week here on the Reid Wilkins Show. We'll still find you a time to get you into studio, and we'll feed you pizza or wings or something, and we'll talk sports in person sometime. But thanks a lot for doing this, buddy.
I'm going to hold you to it. Go Broncos!
There we go. How did the Broncos do yesterday?
They won.
They're actually, are they 3-2?
No, 2-2.
I don't know.
2-2, I think.
I'm not even sure. Seahawks are 3-2. They lost to the Giants, which was not good. You guys.
All right. We got to 100 likes, Reid. We're actually sitting right now at 105.
That's awesome.
We're in record territory here.
Keep liking us. We like to be liked, which is cool, but we like to build the nasty community. So
sure we do.
The more you like it, the more it's going to get suggested to people who consume similar things because of the algorithm. So it just helps everybody be a perfectly unified force of nasties.
You're right, Reid. They are 3-2. So they're above 500.
They're not as dumb as I look.
I didn't say that. Not to your face.
Chris Cuthbert in 21 minutes. That'll be fun.
Ooh-wee.
Along with Jay Milne, I'm Reid Wilkins. Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Conveniently located 10 minutes west of St. Albert, Wheeler's RV Storage will provide you with safe, secure storage for your RV, boat, or whatever you need to store. Open 7 days a week with gated keypad access and extra large stalls. Now is the time to take advantage of their limited time offer. Buy 6 months and get 1 month free. Now's the time to go to WheelersRVStorage.com. That's Wheeler's RV Storage. Safe, secure storage. Visit them today at WheelersRVStorage.com.
Come get your game on at The Ranch. The Ranch lets it all hang out with a championship caliber design, premier conditions, and above all, a fun laid-back experience. Get top-notch service and unmatched value every time you play at The Ranch. Think you have what it takes to go low? The best value for your golfing buck is always The Ranch. The Ranch Golf and Country Club. 10, 50, 100, and 200 round packs on sale. TheRanchGolf.com.
Food Sausages makes their meat with nothing but the best local ingredients. From chicken, beef, and pork, their gluten-free sausages are packed with flavor. Every single bite. Get a 10% discount when mentioning Edmonton Sports Talk in-store or use the code EST when shopping online at foodsausages.ca. Plus, you get free delivery on orders of $100 or more. Find them at 6736 99th Street. Food Sausages. You can't beat our meat.
If you've been injured in a car collision, let James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers, protect your interests. They'll be there every step of the way to help answer your questions and help you get your life back on track. Trust Alberta's precedent-setting injury lawyers with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, call James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers, 780-428-0088, or go to jameshbrown.com.
The Oilers have recalled Matt Savoie from the Condors while signing Cameron Wright to a 1-year, 2-way deal worth around $950,000. The Vegas Golden Knights have claimed Raphael Lavoie off waivers, and last year Lavoie potted 50 points in 66 total games on the Condors. Other claims saw Zach Aston-Reese to Columbus and James Reimer to Anaheim. The Washington Capitals have signed Jakub Vrana to a 1-year deal off his PTO, and out in Minnesota, Jesper Wallstedt signs a 2-year, $4.4 million extension. In the NFL, Texans wide receiver Nico Collins' injury status has changed from week to week with a hamstring injury. Collins stepped out midway through yesterday's game and did not return. The Chiefs Saints close out week 5 of the NFL, where you could join Lieutenant Eric at the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge for kickoff just after 6. MLB playoffs had the Tigers score 3 late runs against the Guardians to tie the series at 1 apiece. Later, it's the Royals visiting the Yankees out in New York. The Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne continues right now. I'm Zachary Kubish, and you're up to date.
Oh, hey, folks. Yeah, so you heard the Coop talking about Matt Savoy being called up. That's really a move to get the Oilers as close as possible to the salary cap to accrue more for LTIR. Don't expect him to play for the Oilers yet. Hopefully at some point. Raphael Lavoie claimed off waivers by the Vegas Golden Knights. We were talking about that. And at practice for the Oilers today, you had Jeff Skinner on the third line with Henrique and Brown. And you had Matthias Janmark on the second line with Arvidsson and Draisaitl. Head coach Chris Knobloch said, hey, we just want to make sure we have a lot of different options, and who knows what it'll be like at practice tomorrow. They skate again at 11 tomorrow in preparation for the first game of the season against the Winnipeg Jets at 8 o'clock on Wednesday night. We will have the Oil Stream pre- and post-game show with Gazzola and Salas and Cassian starting, well, the pregame at 7 on Wednesday, and then the post-game, obviously, after the game, as we keep you covered on everything going on with your Edmonton Oilers. Jay Milne, Reid Wilkins here in the James H. Brown studio. Again, happy birthday, Jay. Was there a highlight or something kind that was done for you today by perhaps a colleague? And no, it's not me. I'm not setting him up to compliment me because I did nothing.
Well, I've been blessed with a couple different sandwiches that have blown my mind. My wife made me a lovely breakfast sandwich, fresh egg sandwich, fresh tomato. Oh, it was delightful. And then I come in here, and I'm here for 5 minutes. You know, we're sitting in the bullpen, just kind of talking, and hey, how was it going? Good. And Joaquin Gage walks in with what might have been the best sandwich I've ever had.
Really?
He made and brought in his own pulled pork, his own sauce, handmade sauce, nice crusty roll from the Italian center.
Yeah.
My gosh, melted some provolone in there. Like it was a world-class sandwich.
He made you a sandwich.
He made me a sandwich.
Wow.
For my birthday, and it was, like I said, speechless. I couldn't eat it fast enough.
That's incredible.
And then he brought me a bottle of water.
That's very kind. Wash it down.
With
something
what
healthy.
a guy. And I said, wow, this is really the sauce on here, the barbecue sauce. He used cumin in it. Do you ever cook with cumin?
I've had it, but no, I wouldn't say I cook with it. No.
It's a very distinct flavor, but when used properly, boy, it adds a lot to the
cool.
flavor.
Well, Gager's quite the cook, we've learned.
He loves to cook. I like to cook too. I love it. It's fun to do something and be proud of it at the end, which he clearly is with that. Wow.
That's great. Our off-topic topic, how do you collect and dispose of your leaves?
We had some more come in.
That. Oh, we did? Okay, cool.
Matt Hyman, I keep on top of the leaves at home with a combination of raking/mowing. At the beach, I have a lot of oak trees and rake everything.
At the beach? Does Matt Hyman live in California?
Winnipeg. So I think he goes to Lake Winnipeg.
Oh.
That is a nice place. That's a fancy, that's one of the nicest beaches in North America.
Matt Hyman has 2 homes?
Yeah, he's got a cottage, and he gave it away by saying cottage.
Oh, wow.
Because only people from that part of, like, Ontario, Manitoba, they say cottage.
And we say
cabin. Mm-hmm. We don't have cottages here. But it's the same thing. Spency 5 Centsy, my neighbors have a bunch of column poplars with loads of leaves. They do their best to blow all the leaves off their property and onto the road, where they eventually get blown into other yards.
Well, that's the thing. How much of, and by the time I raked on Saturday, probably 10 to 15% of what I did had now fallen onto my driveway and sidewalk. And again, I don't have a big area to take care of, but you got to get out there and do it.
It's kind of deflating because just when you think you're done,
yeah,
or a stiff breeze blows, and next thing you know, you're back to square one.
Yeah, you're back to square one. All right, that was fun. Do we have any more what ifs? What if Edmonton? Shane Doan's got to be number one.
That was a good one.
Like that to me, that's the one.
The ultimate.
When you talk about a what if Edmonton sports figure, somebody who, what if they had kept? I mean, Ray Whitney maybe, because he went on to some great things after he left Edmonton.
Yeah.
I guess you could say.
There was somebody said Ray Whitney. Barry the Cheater said, or was that Ray Whitney? He said, I don't know. I'm old.
No, that's fine. All right. Fun stuff. Keep it coming. Thanks for all the likes on YouTube. We did make it over 100, but you can keep liking it because that's just, again, going to bring more people into the community, which is a lot of fun. Chris Cuthbert scheduled to join us in about 11 minutes. It is time for our segment we bring you every Monday, Crunch the Numbers for Gallo LLP, Chartered Professional Accountants, where they go beyond the numbers to ensure the continued success of your business. Reach out to Preet or John at Gallo LLP if you'd like to discuss further how they can crunch your numbers and help your business grow. Visit their website, gallollp.ca, and see how Gallo LLP can help your business grow. Jay Milne.
So the number of points in the NFL through the first 4 weeks was down quite a bit.
Really?
Scoring was down across the league, and they're saying, it's
because of that kickoff.
Is the quarterback
goofy kickoff.
It's because of the kickoff rules. They're tearing everything down that the NFL built. Well, it just was that it was a little bit of an anomaly because this week the scoring came back. Boy, did it come back. And I wanted to highlight because there were a lot of bizarre plays, scoring plays that you don't traditionally see. You may see one a weekend, but we're talking 4 or 5 things here. Did you see the interception that Jordan Love threw?
Oh, yes.
Where he's running around. So that was not. It was good. In LA, and he's running around in the end zone. He's going to take a sack, and he just heaves the ball. Well, should have taken the safety. Pick 6 right there. Picked it on the 1 yard line.
Somewhat reminiscent of the Cornelius play against Hamilton last year.
Yes.
Sort of.
Just a weird play, right? And then only up by 3 points, San Francisco 49ers, Demadre Lenoir blocked a field goal and returned it for 61 yards for a TD. You don't see that often. There was 3 blocked field goals this weekend in the NFL that were recovered. Just a weird scoring. 100-yard interception return. This is the second longest in Broncos history by Patrick Surtain. Jed Roberts Broncos picked it off on the goal line, ran it the whole way back.
So his dad was a defensive back in the NFL.
Patrick Surtain?
Yes. And I saw last night Joey Porter Jr. plays for the Steelers.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Isn't that a weird world?
Yeah.
Joey Porter, scary guy. Seattle, New York Giants.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Hawks were not good. Well, I got to give the Giants credit. They played well, too.
Well, weird scoring plays. The Seattle, New York Giants came in and said, hold my beer. Have I got some of those for you? First quarter, 4th and goal, New York Giants. Rayshon Jenkins picks up a fumble. It was the fumble at the hands of God because it kept kicking and moving and then boom, right into his hands. 101 yards. Return fumble. That is the franchise record for a fumble recovery. And then in the final minute, Seattle attempting a 47-yard field goal, blocked.
Yeah.
And returned for a touchdown. Just don't see that.
Yeah, to tie the Hawks could have tied the game after being down 10.
Yeah.
Because they got a touchdown and then had a field goal to tie, and they could not do it. The Giants outplayed them in that game considerably. They had to have that fumble return. That was early in the game. And that was a 4th down gamble. And I don't know how they knew for sure he fumbled it before the goal line because they didn't have a great angle on it. I think that
I don't know either.
Might have been those where, they called it that way on the field and just left it that way. But that was a weird play because it's the thing is too, as soon as the guy came out of the pile, you knew he was going to have a touchdown, like on his own 5, because all the Giants players and most of the Seahawks players were in a big pile on the goal line.
Nobody was there.
So it's like, oh, he probably could have walked all the way and been like, oh, hey guys, got the ball.
Oh man, Zach, have you checked in on the all gas no brakes running at Woodbine?
I have not.
Oh man,
I need to, because the last time that's one of the nasties said that all gas no brakes is a horse that in fact exists. I didn't bet on it and it won. So
horse profile for all gas no brakes on Equibase. You might have to pay for everything. No. Lifetime. Oh, it doesn't say where it's running though. It's 3 starts this season. 1 second place finish has earned $13,000. Fascinating.
Okay, hang on.
That's the horse you're going to have to adopt.
Woodbine Mohawk. All right, let's see here.
Are you finding if it's running to? But if it would be over already though, because it's 7:13.
No, it was supposed to run.
First race, wouldn't it be over already?
All gas, no brakes, running at number 1.
The official horse of the Reid Wilkins show with Jay Milne.
Let's see, horse racing. Watch races, race day. Let's view details. Let's see how this horse did.
Did you find the race for today?
I did.
All right. Well, we'll see.
Oh, hang on. Results. Results. No, it hasn't happened yet.
Okay, still gonna run.
Zach,
right,
come on. Let's wager on this.
Exciting.
How and where?
I don't know.
Somebody tell me where I can place my money and I'll do it.
Yeah, Zach will gladly bet. All right. Would you have any other numbers for Gallo LLP?
I'm enamored with all gas, no brakes, Reid.
Okay.
I'm totally distracted
You're totally
at this point.
distracted by that.
Well, I mean, you look, Jaden Daniels, my guy, got to talk about him.
Yeah, he was good again, eh?
He was unbelievable again. They beat the Cleveland Browns, but Jaden Daniels looks great. Deshaun Watson looks awful. That is a bad contract. Hundreds of millions of dollars guaranteed. They can't even cut him because he's got guaranteed money. So Washington now sits first in the NFC East. The NFL, those are some good games from the weekend. If you guys have any teams that you cheer for that you thought deserve a little bit of press, I mean, the Ravens come back.
Oh, yeah, I watched some of that. That was exciting. And then the Sunday Nighter turned out to be exciting after the weather delay. And I wasn't really watching the first half, but wasn't it like 6-3 or 9-3 for a long time? So, but the ending picked up. That was quite a thrilling ending.
Yeah, it was terrible. Terrible. Bills looked... it's going to be an interesting year.
Josh Allen was 9 for 30. Speaking of quarterback play, can you imagine if one of our guys was 9 for 30?
Ay.
I don't know. Fans might forgive Trey Ford if he was 9 for 30.
Trey Ford, they would. MBT, they wouldn't. No.
Having said that, we had people pretty critical of Ford after the Winnipeg game. They might have a president by the end of the month. So you're ruling out Fleming? When people say to me, "Oh, I've heard Fleming," I'm like, I haven't heard Fleming. I think some of the Fleming stuff is just one person started it and it keeps getting passed around.
I think there was validity to it when Len Rhodes was hired.
Right.
I think Sean Fleming put his name in the hat at that point.
Like I was watching the Hangout and somebody wrote in, "We'll bring Hervey back as GM." Okay, Hervey's the GM in Hamilton.
Yeah.
Okay. Hervey was fired here. I know some people didn't agree with it. He was fired for behind-the-scenes behavioral stuff. He was fired in BC for contract dealings that the team didn't like how he handled. Plus, he's the GM of another team. Somebody said, bring Jason Moss back as the coach. Jason Moss has a contract to coach at Montreal, okay? And I find it funny, everybody, and you might be mad at me that I'm saying this. When the Oilers hire a former player, it's old boys club. How dare they do that? Yet all the suggestions for Elks are former players. Like, there are other people in the world. I'm not saying I'm against a former player, and Moss coached here, and I think he did a pretty good job. Not as good as he's doing in Montreal. So, I don't know who it's going to be. Buck Pierce. I don't know. Does he want to do it? Would he want to leave Winnipeg? All that kind of stuff. But sometimes I'm just like, somebody put in the nasty chat, would they hire Ricky Ray as a head coach? I have heard nothing of Ricky Ray. Ricky Ray seems perfectly happy to me being an alum, living in Northern California and running the endurance races and watching the CFL at his leisure. And plus, again, Ricky Ray has never coached in any position with a CFL team. And you want to just make him the head coach immediately? Come on. Like, there's other names to consider here. That's all I'm saying.
Well, and you got to wonder when it's going to be time for a guy like Mark Killam, who's down in Calgary.
He's been mentioned in Calgary.
Special teams coordinator, longtime special teams coordinator, and assistant head coach. Former Golden Bear. There's a connection to this city. But I just don't know why he hasn't been picked off yet.
Well, then you start to wonder, right? Why has he been passed over?
What's going on here? Why is this happening? Why is he not a head coach already?
Yeah.
So maybe there's something to that. But that would be, from a personal standpoint, that would be great. Former Bear to be back here coaching. I think he'll get a shot eventually. And no, I don't think Chris Morris is going to leave.
No, I don't think
the Bears to coach pros.
All right. We have Chris Cuthbert coming up. But first, for Sit and Sleep, a sports update with Zach Kubish.
Matt Savoy has been recalled from Bakersfield while Cameron Wright signs a 1-year AHL deal worth just over $950,000. Other moves saw Raphael Lavoie getting claimed from Vegas off waivers after the Oilers tried to move him back down to the Condors. Elsewhere, Zach Aston-Reese moves to Columbus off waivers and James Reimer gets picked up by Anaheim while Jesper Wallstedt signs a 2-year deal worth $4.4 million. Jakub Vrana also returns to the Capitals on a 1-year deal under $1 million. Texans wide receiver Nico Collins has suffered a hamstring injury and is listed as week-to-week. Collins came off the field midway through yesterday's game and did not return to action. In Monday Night Football, it's the Chiefs and the Saints, where Lieutenant Eric will be hanging out at the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge for 6:15 kickoff. In baseball, it was the Tigers tying the series at 1 apiece, recording 3 runs late in the 9th inning to walk away with the win. Later, it's the Royals meeting the Yankees out in New York. This sports update has been brought to you by Sit and Sleep. The wait is over. Sit and Sleep is now open to celebrate with 20,000 square feet of savings on the trendiest furniture, home decor, and mattresses. Apply for your Sit and Sleep card today to make no payment for 18 months interest-free. Once we come back, broadcasting legend Chris Cuthbert joins the Reid Wilkins Show. I'm Zachary Kubish, and you're up to date.
780 is just another lame-ass, low-budget local shop. Homegrown right here in Edmonton, 780 is both the shop name and their in-house clothing brand that celebrates all things unique to E-Town. They also work with close to 100 local vendors from the 780 to help promote and get their brands off the ground. Check them out at 780.com or at any of their 5 locations at Southgate, Londonderry, Kingsway, St. Albert, and the Outlet Mall by the airport.
It's crunch time for your taste buds because for a limited time, A&W is collaborating with Ruffles to bring you the Ruffles Crunch Teen Burger, your favorite teen burger, and your favorite Ruffles cheddar and sour cream chips combined into one unique taste sensation. It's grass-fed beef. It's one-of-a-kind ridges and crunch. Try it. Teen Burger Glory, or crunch into its equally tasty sidekick, the Ruffles Crunch Buddy Burger for just $4.99. Try one today at your neighborhood A&W.
Celebrate the grand opening of Sit and Sleep and discover a revolutionary way to shop for mattresses. Stop in today for a free pressure point scan using cutting-edge technology so sleepologists can identify the perfect mattress for you. Right now, you'll get free local delivery on any mattress over $5.99 and receive a bamboo cooling mattress protector. Get grand opening savings now with every mattress on sale. Join us on location today for the celebrations at Sit and Sleep in South Common next next to Planet Fitness.
Edmonton Sports Talk delivers a mass audience of key, influential customers to your business, all while you associate your company brand with the biggest names, the hottest sports news, and teams from every league around the globe. Oilers and Elks, NHL, NFL, Major League Baseball, and the association, Formula One, soccer, golf. Oh, sweet mama! The excitement is palatable on Edmonton Sports Talk. It's where fans go to get their sports fix and where our partners find the most loyal consumers. Contact us today and see how our team on Edmonton Sports Talk can score the biggest goals for your business. With various advertising options available, email business@edmontonsportstalk.com or head to our website and send a message at edmontonsportstalk.com.
All right, we do have our EST flyaway to LA keyword still to come. You haven't missed it. Later in the show today, we're going to have that obviously before 6 o'clock. Reid Wilkins, Jay Milne with you, and a very special guest checking in, obviously the play-by-play voice for Hockey Night in Canada, all the playoffs on Sportsnet, and I always introduce him for fun as a former anchor at CBC Edmonton. I used to watch him doing the late night sports. Pleased to have Chris Cuthbert on the show. Chris, you're on with Reid and Jay. How are you doing?
I'll try reconnecting him here.
Okay, yeah, we couldn't hear Chris's answer, so we'll get him on the line. But he's always fun to talk to. A guy, as probably most people know, I interviewed for my career investigation when I was applying to get into Nate. So it's always fun to have Chris on the show, who has done it all. He's, we got him. Okay, we're just going to try to patch him through again here. Okay, Chris, do we have you this time? How are you doing? Yeah, Chris, Reid and Jay here. Thanks a lot for checking in. Love to have you on the show. You're getting set to be a busy guy. Like, how far in advance is the travel schedule set for you?
You know, we got all the preseason bugs out now. We're good.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, good to be with you guys, and congratulations on the new show. And I've got my schedule written on two different. I'm old school. I write it on old calendars, and I'm looking at December right now. But I think I'm pretty well through till the end of the year. So let's get on with it, and we'll look forward to getting the playoff schedule sooner or later too, and I'm hoping that involves a lot of Western Canada.
Well, and the last, I guess 3 years, I've been able to, and all the people you know in Edmonton have been able to see way more of you because you've done so many Oilers series. You know, I know we've touched on this before, but I think it's worth kind of giving a thought here to our audience. Just, you know what the passion is like. You were here earlier in your career, and then seeing it downtown in Ice District in still a relatively new building. I mean, do you kind of get chills coming back to Edmonton and seeing what the fans are getting to experience here?
You know, the first impression I ever had of Edmonton hockey was watching the series clincher in '81 against Montreal, and I always thought that was the Oilers coming of age. And for a long time, I thought that was the standard. As much as some of the Stanley Cup wins, the Northlands in '81 blew me away. But I got to say, I don't think it's ever been better than it was last year in the playoffs. And beyond the rink, it was, as you say, the throughout Ice District, throughout the city, it was special, and I know Oiler fans want more, and why wouldn't you want more of that kind of atmosphere?
Well, I was gonna record off YouTube and play your call of the end of the Dallas series, and then I thought this isn't worth playing because people won't be able to hear Chris. like it was that loud. I mean, I was in the building and then watching it back on the broadcast. I'm like, Simpson and Cuthbert are being drowned out here in the final 15 seconds of this game.
Well, Reid, I finally got smart. I just started laying out for the final minute because they sounded way better than I did.
All right. My colleague Jay here has a couple for you, Chris.
I just wanted to ask, I mean, obviously, Sidney Crosby, the golden goal, one of the greatest calls of all time, and that was your call. That must rank up with you as one of the your biggest calls. But is there another call that maybe not as well known as the golden goal that would hold a special place in your heart?
I don't know if I've got that next one yet. There's lots of calls I'm happy about, and there's some you get haunted by that you wish you could have back. I've said this a few times, and I mean it sincerely, and I really thought we might be experiencing it in June. My next most memorable call will be for a Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup. And when we headed to Florida for Game 7, I really thought that was going to happen. I'm sure most Oiler fans did. And as we get ready for a new season, I think it can happen this year, and I don't think it's just one team that can do it. I think you guys look like you're on a collision course with Vancouver, and it could be even better than that series was last year, and it was one of the highlights of the playoffs. And stop me if you've heard this before, but I think the Leafs are in a better position right now to make noise in the East maybe than they've been in the past, and I know that is a familiar refrain, but I think they're a little bit better, and I think that that gauntlet that they've had to go through before is still there, but it might not be quite as imposing as it's been in the past.
Whenever we have, play-by-play or announcers on, it's good to know a bit of the backstory and where this all began for you. You're born and raised in Brampton, Queen's University graduate. What were the early years like in your broadcasting career, and what was your big break, so to speak?
Well, I've had nothing but big breaks. I had all kinds of good fortune. I did get a chance to do live play-by-play at Queen's when I was intending to be a school teacher, and as soon as I got to put a headset on, I realized I might know what I'm doing. I decided to finally go for it. I think even as a kid I wanted to do it, but I wasn't prepared to maybe take that big leap of faith, and after Queens I did, and was lucky enough to get a job in Yorkton, Saskatchewan, calling the Saskatchewan Junior League. That kind of opened another couple of doors, and back through Kingston, and then all of a sudden I'm covering the Montreal Canadiens in 1981. Strangely enough, one of the biggest breaks I got was the North American Soccer League became a big deal in Montreal, and I started calling those games, and the team was owned by Molson, which owned the production house for Hockey Night in Canada. So in a year that Bill Hewitt and Danny Gallivan had both retired, Molson and Molson Productions was looking for new play-by-play people, and got my foot in the door again. And then TSN comes along and takes John Wells and Peter Watts out of Edmonton and opens up jobs. You know what? I just worked the Kraft Hockeyville game with Ron McLean, and we were both kind of comparing notes because Ron's door opening in Calgary kind of came the same way through the establishment of TSN and taking talent out of Alberta and taking it to the TSN network. And then another big break when I was doing a little bit of hockey, and in 1988 was dispatched to Washington to do intermission play-by-play calls during the intermissions for Washington and New Jersey while the national game was Boston-Montreal, and the power going out in Montreal and that game not being broadcast across the country. And so it was kind of a Cuthbert one-man show where I was hanging on for dear life on a roller coaster, and got through it, and people kind of noticed that young guy might be able to do it on a more regular basis. So very grateful for all the opportunities, and that's a whole different show. So hopefully I didn't go too long, but I could go a whole lot longer.
No, those are great stories. Chris Cuthbert joining us here on the Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne. Chris, you know I love talking about the behind the scenes and the preparation and all that kind of stuff. And look, I've never. I love doing this talk show, and I've got to do some cool stuff, but I've never done play-by-play. like you have in the NHL and the CFL. So I'm going to ask this for people listening because they love stuff like this. When a goal is scored in an NHL game, and you're often with Craig, what is being said in your headsets in terms of when you know the replay is coming, what the director is giving you in terms of bench and crowd reactions, or are you all at the point where not much needs to be said? Can you take us into those furious seconds after a goal is scored?
Yeah, I'm actually not privy to a lot. I get the call out, and usually if I'm smart, I let the reaction of the crowd take it. If it's a hugely important goal, I might punctuate it, and Craig is amazing at sensing when that's going to happen. But I think what you're asking me, the real television inside is going on between him and the truck. He is on talkback immediately telling the producer in the case of the Stanley Cup final, Jeff Juridat, who's the guy we work with the most on a national basis, and he is identifying what he saw as the key to the goal, where we should be focusing at least one of the replays, or where we start the replay sequence, and those two have that replay sequence down pat almost all the time. So it doesn't vary a whole lot unless there was something really unusual or different. I'll give you one case. We did a preseason game in Detroit on Thursday, and Nick Robertson is a big story in Toronto, fighting for a job, and he scored 5 times in the preseason. He scored 2 goals in that last game in Detroit. Both goals came off defensive plays by him in the Leaf zone. So we don't often dial back that far, but because of Robertson's story, and that's been a critique of his through the years, those replays and that sequence might have been a little bit longer to establish what he did. But the television magic is between the analyst and the truck and the guys that have an EVS machine. Back in the old days, I was reflecting back on the 80s when they were using tape machines and rolling back tapes and tape sequences. Now it's digitally computerized, and man, they've got a lot of toys to play with back there.
Well, that's the crazy thing, though, is you could reference a game in 2002, spur of the moment, and if it's the tape era, you're probably being told, thanks, Chris, we'll never find that in time. But I imagine now it's like, okay, Chris, yeah, you know what? Hey, good story, Chris. We'll have that for you coming back for the next commercial. Probably with the digital.
Well, you know what? That's often good prep beforehand too. We probably have 20 of those sitting around waiting. And you're right. There are certain things that we couldn't anticipate. If somebody ends up scoring 5 goals in a game, you might be looking for the last time that team had a five goal game, and that you have to look back, and you're right, the computer can, somebody back in Toronto at Sportsnet can send you that down the pipe. But I'll give you another example. Sometimes you're just lucky. In our first preseason game, there was a guy vying for a job on the 4th line. He was put on waivers by Ottawa, but his name was Jan Yannick, who had played in Anaheim last year, and I was checking YouTube just to get the pronunciation of his name, and I saw this Richter scale preseason hit on Trevor Zegras, and then a fight with somebody else in response to Yannick's hit. And so I sent it to our producer, who put it on the list, and 5 minutes into the game, Yannick has some big hit and a fight, and we roll that back in. And it's preseason. It might not have made the cut in a regular season game, but it is amazing how many resources we have to tell good stories.
Did you ever? There's less fighting than it used to be. What's your approach been to calling fights? Because some announcers will really get into it and try to make that almost as big as the goal call. I always felt like you've never tried to build up a fight to that level, if you know what I'm saying, or did you ever try to do that?
No, it's a good observation. I think I got a little more excited, and I know fans love it, and I like a good fight too. But I have pulled back on that because of the old adage that nobody ever got hurt in a fight that's gone the way of the dinosaurs now, because guys can get seriously hurt in them now. So I'll let the fight for the most part take place, and once in a while I might make a comment on if it's an obvious verdict, but I tend not to. I tend not to celebrate it as much because I just am a little more concerned about concussions and CTE than I might have been 10 years ago or 15 years ago.
Yeah, for sure. Chris, I love having you on the show. It was fun when you dropped into Studio 99 when I was doing the games there. But hopefully we can bug you to come on once or twice a year. Do you know when you're coming to Edmonton yet, or are you mostly out east, or do you have any trips out here for Oilers games?
I know Edmonton's in Toronto on November the 16th. I think it's probably it's sometime in the new year, but we'll have it marked on the calendar, and we'll be ready for you. And I'd be happy to see up in the Studio 99 for sure. Okay, Chris, thanks for being so generous with your time. Love having you on the show, and we'll see you down the road. Have a great season. Yeah, you too, guys. Enjoy the year, and can't wait. That is Chris Cuthbert, one of the best. Love talking to him. Great broadcaster, great guy. Is that the first time you talked to him, Jay?
Yeah, just goosebumps.
Yeah, he's great.
You know what? Could I say he seems like a guy you could go up to on the street respectfully, and he'd probably talk with you for a bit. He might even give you a hug. That's just the kind of guy he seems like. He's incredibly down to earth. Yeah.
I mean, for someone who has had, I don't think I would be overstating it, in one of the most prominent sports broadcasting careers in Canadian history. I mean, that progression of, I guess, Gallivan to Cole to Jim Houston to Chris Cuthbert. I mean, that's who he's, and plus, did tons of Grey Cups. Yes. When he was on TSN, he was doing hockey and football, and then we went to Rogers, and it's been primarily hockey.
Well, that's where I would recognize him first from, would be CFL.
Yeah, because he used to be
he was Mr.
primary CFL guy, and then would do the Grey Cup, right?
Beautiful. Yeah. What a great interview.
No, awesome to talk to Chris, and I got to say he's it's still, I mean, our age gap isn't as much as it used to be, but yeah, I mean, I still sort of feel like I'm the kid to him, because I was the guy 22 or 23 calling him to do my career investigation to get into Nate, because I enjoyed watching him. So, and he was very kind, because when he saw the news that I was leaving my former job, he actually sent me a message pretty quickly and was like, "Hey, hope you're okay, and something good's on the horizon." And I was like, "Yeah, well, I'll let you know, and I'll probably bug you to be on what's coming next." So it's cool he came on today. You know what else is really cool? Our EST Flyaway to LA, presented by the 780. So we're qualifying people 4 times each weekday on this show, on the Nielsen Show, on the Hangout, and on afternoons with Salas and Gager. And then I'm also on Saturdays with Hello Hockey. So this is going on until the 28th of November. Then we're going to give this trip away on the 29th of November. It's from December 26th to the 30th. It's a flight for 2 to Los Angeles with hotel and rental car. You get to see the Clippers play the Warriors. You get to see the Rams take on the Cardinals, and you get to see an NHL game featuring Edmonton. All presented by the 780, a homegrown local shop right here in Edmonton. 780 is both the shop name and their in-house clothing brand that celebrates all things unique to E-Town. They also work with close to 100 local vendors from the 780 area code to help promote and get their brands off the ground. Check them out online, 780.com. So the word 7 and then 80.com, or any of their 5 locations: Southgate, Londonderry, Kingsway, St. Albert, and the Outlet Mall by the airport. So you have to text in a keyword to 780-218-9999, and then after a few minutes, we'll randomly select somebody who texted in the correct keyword, and they'll get their name in the draw. And you're probably sitting there saying to yourself, "Get to the keyword already, Wilkins." Keyword is half. The keyword is half for EST Flyaway to LA, presented by the 780. We'll see who qualified after a sports update with the Coop.
The Oilers have recalled Matt Savoie from the Condors while signing Cameron Wright to a 1-year, 2-way deal worth around $950,000. It was the Vegas Golden Knights picking off Raphael Lavoie from waivers. Last year, Lavoie potted 50 points in 66 games on the Bakersfield Condors. Other claims saw Zach Aston-Reese to Columbus and James Reimer to Anaheim. Out in Minnesota, Jesper Wallstedt signs a 2-year extension worth $4.4 million. Wallstedt spent most of last year in the AHL, playing just 3 games with the big club. Texans' Nico Collins' injury status is week to week with a hamstring. Collins stepped out midway through yesterday's game and did not return to action. Chiefs and Saints close out week 5 of the NFL. Don't know why I said CFL, where you can join Lieutenant Eric at the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge just after 6. MLB playoffs had the Tigers score 3 runs late in the 9th against the Guardians to tie the series at 1 apiece. Later, it's the Royals visiting the Yankees. Right after the break, it's a final segment of today's rendition of the Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne. I'm Zachary Kubish, and now you're up to date.
Hey Edmonton, ready to take advantage of lower rates and better pricing? South Fort Chevrolet in Fort Saskatchewan has you covered. From rugged trucks to sleek SUVs. And with over 40 years in business, you can trust that you're getting the best deal on your new ride. As the proud title sponsor of The Nielsen Show, EST listeners can drive a little to save a lot with South Fort Chevrolet's transparent pricing and down routine. Visit us today in Fort Saskatchewan or online at southfortchev.com.
At Mind360, we invite you to embark on your mental health journey in a safe and comfortable space. Conveniently located in St. Albert, Mind360 has a diverse team of experienced clinicians that offer a broad range of tailored services for children, adults, and families. Furthermore, we are very proud to serve our military, veterans, and first responders. If you're looking for counseling, treatment, or assessment, understand that you are not alone. Contact Mind360 at mind360.ca to book an appointment.
Gallo LLP is an Alberta-based accounting firm with expert chartered professional accountants in both our Edmonton and Sherwood Park accounting firms. Our experienced accountants provide financial advice that saves our clients money. Simply put, we help our clients protect their assets and grow their businesses. At Gallo LLP, they go beyond the numbers to ensure the continued success of your business. Reach out to Preet or John to discuss how they can help your business grow. Visit gallollp.ca today and see how they can help you take your business to the next level.
You've always known GCL Diesel as the experts in diesel fuel systems, but did you know that GCL is also your source for turbochargers and turbo repair? As a turbo supplier for Garrett, Borg Warner, and Holset, GCL can provide genuine original equipment turbos at wholesale prices. Whether it's diesel, gas, natural gas, or performance, we can provide you with the turbo or custom repair you require. Turbo questions? We've got turbo answers. Visit us in the West End or online at gcldiesel.com. GCL Diesel, turbochargers understood.
Text me the name. Oh, man. Great way to start the week. A lot of Oilers and Elks talk. We had Chris Cuthbert on the show, Luke Gazdic, Jed Roberts. We'll do our predictions tomorrow. Stu McDonald, OEG president, scheduled to join us as well. We are in the James H. Brown studio. James H. Brown Personal Injury Law Firm. The heavy hitters of injury law. With over 200 years of experience, James H. Brown will get you the settlement you deserve. Their website is jameshbrown.com. Book your private consultation today. James H. Brown. Of course, Trent Brown works there. What record did you beat of his interceptions at the U of A?
Tied. Tied
But
career
you
interceptions.
played fewer games?
Yeah, I only played 3 years. He played 5.
Does he know that you always add that clarification?
Every time I see him, I tell him that.
You just walk up to him and you'd be like, hey, you know we had the same number of picks? But
Yeah.
I had more per game. What does he say?
He's pretty funny about it. Like he you know, we've always gotten along and laughed about it because him and I played the same style, just punishing,
Just maniacs.
Yeah,
Yep.
just reckless. No no regard for human safety.
How's the cut on your hand doing?
You know what? I'm happy I took the covering off of it earlier because it seems to have, like I said,
the fresh air is healing it.
Yeah,
the circulation here in the EST World Headquarters.
Oxygen works.
Oxygen works. That's right. Hi, Zach.
Hello. We have Elmo on the line.
Elmo is the qualifier?
Elmo,
congratulations. You've qualified for our fly away to LA trip. You're on with Reid and Jay. How are you doing?
That's fantastic, man. How could I not be good? This is a beauty.
Have you ever been to Los Angeles before?
No, actually, I haven't.
Are you interested in any of the teams you're going to you could possibly see? Clippers, Warriors, Rams, Cardinals.
Yeah, I think all of them. Why wouldn't I like a sports trip to LA for Pete's sake? That'd be amazing.
That's awesome. Are you in Edmonton or are you outside of the city?
No, I'm in Edmonton for sure.
All right. How are you feeling about the Oilers season that starts Wednesday?
Fantastic. I'm going to a game with an Edmonton sports talk friend, Damon Bunting, on Wednesday. So,
perfect.
I'm pretty stoked.
All right. Well, that's great.
How do you know
Damon? Got a good shot to win.
How do you know Damon Bunting? Is he your realtor?
No. I used to work with him long time ago at the Oilers. We were in sales together. Him, Andrew Patterson, the hustler. We had a good crew there.
Yes, I know exactly who I'm talking to.
Oh, okay. This is perfect. All right,
I figured it out.
Perhaps we'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
then.
for sure.
All right.
Well, good luck. This is going to be a fantastic trip, as you know. So thanks to our friends at the 780, and thank you for qualifying.
Thank you so much for the call. Hopefully I can win.
That is Elmo. I'm starting to think, so we're going to have all the qualifiers. We'll call them and get them on quick. I'm thinking, I'm always asking the same questions. Do I need to come up with better questions, or do I not overcomplicate it and just stick with my regular, have you been to LA before?
Why don't we do this? Why don't we make
you
this
start doing
standing
it?
order?
All nap.
No. Yeah, okay. You could take a nap, but why don't we do this like as a standard procedure from now on?
Yeah.
We will ask them about our off-topic topic.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and say, okay,
well, you're really contributing to the show.
Yeah, thank you. So today's off-topic, we should have asked him, how do you take care of your leaves? And what do you do?
And maybe he lives in an apartment or doesn't have leaves.
Well, I mean, at least he has the opportunity to ask.
What do you call the trees that have needles?
Pine trees.
What's a conifer?
Conifer? I think that's a leaf.
No, a conifer is a group of cone-bearing seed plants. So they would not have leaves. They would have needles, right?
Yeah, pine trees have needles. So do spruce trees.
Yes.
Yeah.
So pine trees have pine cones,
and
spruce trees have spruce cones.
I don't know. It's just too much for my brain.
Zach is still talking to the guy.
Yeah, friendly guy. Seemed like a nice dude.
You know who that was? Did I meet that person? I must have met him.
No, I just know of him because Damon used to work in sales with the Oilers, right?
Oh, great. Okay.
Back in the day, and he's told me some stories, and it seemed like a very fun crew that was working there at the time. But speaking of Oilers, Reid, Rick.
Yes, what do we have?
Okay. I mean, obviously, we're gonna do our predictions tomorrow. Everybody's gonna have a chance to laugh at us and say how wrong we are. But I want to speak about, okay, let's say the first 5 games for the Oilers this year.
Yes.
All right? Because you know that should those not go so well, there will be extreme panic and terror in the fans of the Edmonton Oilers. Now, I want to say this because I text you on the side and I'm going to air what I said, okay? And this is just my opinion, but I'm a little bit concerned about the lack of productivity that we've seen from this team. And I know the big dogs haven't played all that much, but I sincerely hope they can just be pros and move on and when the real games turn on, that they can turn it on as well.
Right.
I'm not entirely sure that that's going to happen. I mean, they don't exactly have an easy first month.
I think I don't think the Oilers are going to start as poorly as last year. I don't think they're going to burst out of the gate, just because. And that texter said it earlier. You know, sometimes it takes some time. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe one of the new forwards had a bit of a slow start. I do think the right side of the defense is a little bit of concern. Winnipeg was 4th overall last year. They were ahead of the Oilers. They're pretty good. Chicago and Calgary are not expected to be very good. I don't. Philly will see. Nashville, I think, will be very good. Then they play at Dallas. They have home games against Carolina and Pittsburgh. I mean, the Oilers have kind of toyed with the Penguins lately. They're at Detroit and Columbus. Those teams probably won't be great. And then they play Nashville again. The Oilers have 11 games in October. I do not think they will win more than 6 of them. I think there will be.
So you'll say they'll have a losing record.
No, they have 11 games in October.
You don't think they'll win 6, which means they could win 5.
I said they don't. I don't think they will win more than 6. So they could go 6-5.
Okay.
But I think 6-5. 5-5-1.
Okay, let's just do a simple task here. You grab your pen, and write a W and an L. Give me a win and a loss column there. First game, Jets,
loss.
Second game, Blackhawks,
win.
Flames,
win.
Flyers,
I'll say loss.
Preds,
loss.
Stars,
loss.
Okay, so I mean, right there, they're 2-4.
Yeah, but it might not go in this order.
Hurricanes,
loss.
Penguins,
win.
Red Wings,
win.
Blue Jackets,
loss.
Predators,
loss.
Tough sledding there.
Well, it might not be that bad. I think the Predators are going to be really good. Dallas will be hungry to beat them. Columbus will not be good, but they seem to always have something weird happen in that building that sets them back, and the cannon goes off 80,000 times. I don't know why I said for Philly, just gut instinct. I don't know. They might be like 4-5-2. They might be 4-5-2 in October. But that's not the end of the world. I just think there will be some gelling and some things to work out. But I still think they'll be a very good team and will make the playoffs. They might even finish first in their division. Might.
Isn't it weird that they're doing a Flames at Oilers game on a Sunday evening at 6 p.m.?
A little bit.
That's Thanksgiving weekend too, right?
Yeah, so the next day's off. Then they play Calgary on a Sunday in November as well.
That's strange.
Did they play the Flames on a Saturday this year? Let me double check. They might not. They do play them 4 times as opposed to the 3 that we've seen a couple of times.
So which would you like to recognize more here while you're looking that up? It's National Propane Day today.
Flames on a Saturday in March. And then I can't. Do they only play them 3 times again? I thought they played them 4 this year.
Twice or pretty early?
I don't know. I think I'm not being. I just think there might be a couple issues that make it a 500-ish October for the Oilers. That's all I'm saying. I do not think they're going to miss the playoffs. I do not think they're going to be 2-9-1 like last year. I don't think any of that.
Maybe that could be our off-topic
I guess they
for
only
tomorrow.
play Calgary 3 times again. That's such a bummer.
Given that it's going to be a big prediction day, maybe that could be the...
Well, we'll pick the Oilers' record tomorrow. I think they're going to be a very good team. I don't see them running away with the regular season. I understand why people are picking them to win the Stanley Cup. I understand why people are picking them to win the President's Trophy. I think they have some exceptional players. But I just think there will be... I don't think that... right now, I don't think the team is as good as it was last year at the end. And I'm not talking about the end of the playoffs when obviously you're playing at an incredibly high level. I'm talking about even the end of the regular season. I don't think the roster is that good right now. I don't think the roster is as good as the one that had a 16-game winning streak. Now, that doesn't mean I'm saying it's bad. I'm just saying I don't think it's quite that good.
Well, I suppose the optimist view here would come and say that this team does not have a goalie issue to start the year, or perceive not to have a goalie issue with Skinner and Pickard in place. Last year, that was a little bit of a crapshoot.
Well, and they couldn't defend early last year, too. I'm curious about the Pacific. I wonder if Vegas is going to finish first in the Pacific, just because they're Vegas. I think, and I'm curious what's going to happen in Vancouver. Could Vancouver be like the Oilers from 17 from 16-17 to 17-18. You get back into the playoffs, you win a round, you lose Game 7 in the second round. It appears like it's all systems go. I don't know if Vancouver got better. I mean, now if they have a healthy Demko, that's a big thing. Is Desharnais and Forbert an awesome third pair? That doesn't make me all excited. Is DeBrusk better than Lindholm if you look at that as the exchange? You know, I think Tocchet's an excellent coach, but he's got to do it again. I felt like there was a lot of optimism from Sakaris when we had him on Friday.
Yep.
And I wonder if I wonder now, and I'm not saying this to troll Canucks fans or anything. I wonder if in that city they realize how hard it's going to be to do it again. And that's the one advantage now the Oilers have where they are in their cycle. They know how damn hard it is to do it again. And that's why I think that there might be some gelling to happen at the start of the season, but they'll be fine long term. And I still think Vancouver will get into the playoffs, but it wouldn't surprise me if they don't finish as high as they did last year.
Chris Cuthbert said it during the interview, is that he feels like Vancouver is the strongest team in the Pacific. Time will tell.
I don't know.
I got a quick story for you that before we close out on the show here is we've transitioned Daisy the Duck. This is the EST Farm Report, #Glue Crew. We've transitioned Daisy the Duck out into the duck area, which is a shed and a duck enclosure with heat lamps and straw and whatnot. So today we let the big ducks out to go to the pond, and then we just put Daisy in outside of her little cage because we're still trying to acclimate her to the other ducks. And well, it turns out Daisy can squeeze through. It's a chain link fence around it. Well, Daisy the duck can get through there. So we allowed Daisy out, and then we went inside and had breakfast. And here we're sitting there, and there's a window open in the kitchen, and we just hear Daisy getting louder and louder and louder. She burst out of the duck enclosure and walked all the way back to the house, to the back door. And here my wife, we're shocked because there's 4 dogs out there that didn't take a run at it. There's cats somewhere. And there's often birds of prey in the sky. And nobody took a chance to nab little Daisy. So Daisy the duck had an interesting exploration today. And thankfully she's still with us. Thankfully.
That's heartwarming.
We'll have to get an update for tomorrow's show.
Oh, you need the final limerick from your mom. Then we got to go.
Right. There once was a riddle. We were split down the middle. Was it for yes? You take a guess. Silly. It was not a riddle, only a fiddle.
Wow. That is straight out of left field from your mom.
That's deep.
That's awesome. All right. Fun show today. We're back tomorrow with predictions and Stu McDonald and who knows what else. Thanks to Zach Kubish for his work this afternoon. He's Jay. I'm Reid. Thanks for tuning in.
Get to know the winners, props, plays, parlays, and more with Nielsen and Hustler. Weekday mornings at 11 on The Lock Shop. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.